Okay, hi.
Hello, everyone. We're going to give a few minutes. We have like 70 people RSVP'd for this, so we'll give a few minutes for everybody get logged in. We'll see how many people actually show up. Hi, Mary. Hi, Lisa. We got Denise. I think Denise's team is going to be on. Hi, Heidi.
70 people is a great number for you to have.
I know this is cool. I'm excited. And we're actually going to record this time because I forgot last time. So if you guys can, as you're logging on, if you'll turn your videos on, so I can see your lovely faces. And I'm going to log in with a different computer so I can have screen share and all that good stuff. If you guys, as people are logging in, if you want to jump in the chat and let people know where you're at, this is a great opportunity to find some referrals. You get people from all over. We've got California and Arizona and lots of Colorados and who else we got here? We got Las Vegas, Michigan. Houston. And I am recording, so if you guys want a copy, I'll send it out after the fact. Tracy McNeely's got one of my referrals in California under contract, which is great.
Yes. And we just got a tsunami warning.
A tsunami warning?
Yeah, we just had an earthquake out in the ocean. So we just got this run to higher ground. They'll be in higher ground when they close on that.
I was going to say, aren't they in like the kind of mountainous region there?
They will be, yes.
We've got our Phoenix, Arizona connection joining here with Roberta Voss. And let's see, we got Northern Kentucky and Southern Illinois. No, Southern Indiana in Miss Jennifer Lesh. Who else we got? Who else do I know? We've got, let's see, who did I just let in? We got Iowa. We've got Northwest Washington, Briddick. So keep dropping your stuff there as people come in. We'll give people a few more minutes. We got maybe half.
Hey, Nick,
Yeah,
just one question. When you send the recording, is the chat part of the recording?
I don't believe it is.
you.
Yep. So if you're looking for something in particular or an area in particular, maybe go back through now and check it out. Or if you need somebody in a particular area, drop it in the chat. Even if there's not somebody here, they might know somebody. So
I may just copy and paste the chat into a Word document just to
that's
keep
that's
it.
a good thought too. That's a good thought too. And you are welcome to share LinkedIn's, share your socials. Hilton Head. David, are you part of Julie's and Julie and Bernie's team, maybe? That's true, Lisa, but there are a lot of non-workman people on here too. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to get started. I think we're still going to have some more people funneling in, but we will get started anyway. I'm going to log in with my other computer here.
You get those measurements.
And we'll get going. I'm going to drop you guys a couple of links for the actual business plan itself. So you can download it, and you are welcome to print it if you like. So in the chat right there, that is the first one. This is the business plan that we'll be going over today. It is the comprehensive version of the Workman business plan. Perfect. Okay, so it's about 30 pages. We're going to get through most of it today, and then we also have a one-page business plan. So I'll share the link with that for that as well, that we're going to kind of convert to at the end. All right, so here's the link to that. And as we go here, Jennifer Hammer, if you're still on, can you copy and paste those two drive links and keep them available for anybody new that comes in that asks for it? You can drop it in the chat for me. Cool. Because we've got people still coming in here. So, okay, well, let's get started. I am going to do a screen share actually from my other computer, I believe, here. And that way you guys can see what we're working through, and we'll go through the business plan.
So prepared for this.
All right. Okay. All right, as I get this loaded up here, anybody got any good wins that they want to share? I like to start off my stuff with some wins. What do you got going on that's good in life? If nobody volunteers, I'm going to pick somebody. So, you know.
I'll volunteer.
Do it.
Taking a $3 million listing today.
Boom. That's awesome. Where's it at, Heidi?
Lafayette,
Lafayette.
Goose Haven. So Private lake, mountain views, amazing.
Very cool. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. For some reason, my screen sharing is not happening. Sharing is not turned on. What does that mean? Denise, there is an editable format, and maybe somebody can pull it from Workman and see if we can post it. The problem, you can edit it by PDF. So if you download this, you can edit it in an editable PDF. The problem is it kind of comes out like it formats really weird. I don't know if you've seen that before. All right, here we go. Perfect. So you guys should be able to see my screen, hopefully. I'm going to move this into a new window, though. All right. So let me give you an about me. There's a lot of people on here that don't know me. Maybe they've seen me on some of the other Workman presentations before. I've got a couple of my clients on the call, so good to see you guys, and a bunch of co-coaches. So a little bit about me. First of all, if you would, if you're on your socials, go look me up on social. I am one of my goals for this year, for 2025, is to have a better social media presence. So I've challenged myself to post every single day. I am 3 months into posting every single day. I post some real estate stuff. I post some family stuff. I post some inspirational stuff. I post whatever I can. I just posting. So I've also, if you guys want to get involved in this, I have a fitness background. I used to run a bunch of gyms in Colorado. And so one of my latest posts, I think, was from 3 days ago. I'm doing a $500 push-up challenge for the month of December. Anybody can get in. You don't have to do a certain amount of push-ups. You just have to commit to doing one set of push-ups every single day. Set a goal for yourself. One set of push-ups every single day for the month of December. And once you are done with that and you commit to that on one of my socials, I will enter you in a drawing, and whoever we randomly choose at the end of the month in January, or at the end of December in January, I'll give $500 to your favorite charity. So, little charity event, kind of combine some passions there for me, and so if you get on there, check it out, and hopefully we'll make some cool connections. So, all right, I love my dogs, I love motorcycles, I love baseball, and collegiate style wrestling and golf. So that's a little bit about me. All right. That's my family. Those are my dogs. There's some motorcycle racing. My kids, Ben and Hannah. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And my wife, Jess, helps with we lead our real estate team together, which is the Med Homes team. So, all right, let's do it. So today we are going to go through our business plan for 2025. That's the goal for today. It's fairly extensive. We've got this meeting set for, it's 4 hours, but I try to get it done in 3. So we'll do as best as we can to get through it. If you need to hop off or you need to go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do, just go. We're going to record it, and I will send out a recording afterwards. So I'd like this to be as interactive as possible. Sometimes I'll ask for you guys to hop in and talk about a few things so that we can give some examples on how this business planning works. But as a quick overview, we will go through kind of building out your goals, and then we break down how to reach those goals on a very objective level. And so if you're new or newer to real estate, or if you're on a team, this is a great class for you, especially because we will teach you how to essentially monetize your goals and then create a strategic step-by-step plan and process to get you to reaching those goals for the year. So, quick story to kind of get us started. Some of you may know this, but I used to be a professional baseball umpire. So prior to moving into the fitness industry and into the real estate world, I was a professional baseball umpire. I worked in the minor leagues. These photos on the left were in the Arizona Rookie League. That's the Royals and the Dodgers playing. And then on the right was the Coastal Plains League. And I had just ejected the coach on the right-hand side there, and he was upset with me, and he was yelling at me and getting his piece. So kind of a cool thing. My partner right there, who's in that picture, his name is Roberto Ortiz. He now is a major league umpire. So it's really cool to see these guys that made it, because it's a very difficult path and it's very hard to get to the major leagues. So one of the reasons I show this picture is I want to bring up a quick story about something that happened to me when I was working at the Atlanta Braves spring training. So during spring training, we work about 17 games, and the games are very much at the minor league level. They're very much like a practice game. So it's not a whole lot. There's not really fans, and you might play 4 outs in an inning. You might play 10 innings, even if it's not tied. You might have the same batter leading off every inning. They want them to get extra reps. It's not like real baseball. But anyway, in between innings, I was taking my position as the home plate umpire up the third base line about 15 feet. And during each of the games, the home plate umpire has kind of like their own private concierge service, who is essentially the ball boy. At the minor league level, the ball boy is usually a baseball player that has the day off. It could be a pitcher that isn't playing that day. It could be somebody who's on the injured list, but there's somebody that is kind of the ball boy and gets you drinks or whatever you need in between innings. And so as I stood in my position, probably around the third inning on the third base line, the ball boy guy, I'll call him James because I don't remember his name, but James called out to me and he said, well, actually, let me start with this first. He, as you guys were, anybody have kids in baseball, or like Denise, you got kids in baseball? Jenny, you got kids in baseball? Roberta? Jenny, if you need to get the umpire's attention, like you need to know what the count is or how many outs there are, how do you call to them? Come off of mute.
Hey, Blue.
Hey, Blue, right? That's how we all know colloquially, that's how you call the umpire. Hey, Blue, what's the count? Hey, Blue, how many outs are there, right? Well, in the professional leagues, things are a little bit different. They don't call us Blue. It's considered a sign of disrespect. And so umpires don't get called Blue. We get called by our names, or we get called sir. And so from behind me, I hear the ball boy, and he goes, hey, Blue, need any balls? And so I just kind of reached over my shoulder and gave him a number 3, and kind of slowly turned back around. And as I started to turn back around, I saw the pitching coach hop up off the bench and kind of run over to James. And he picks James up off of the chair that he's sitting on by like underneath the arm, and drags him out to me like a 5-year-old kid getting pulled out of a grocery store, right? That was misbehaving, right? And he brings him out to me, and he's still holding him under the arm like he's like elevated next to me. And he goes, James, this is Nick. You'll refer to him as such, or Mr. Umpire, sir. And this, he has a baseball in his hand. He goes, and this is called a baseball. Now go sit your ass down. And I'll never forget that, because, and I didn't realize until later in life, like what that lesson was for me. But at the time, it was kind of cool. It felt like man, it's prestigious. Like this kid just got schooled because he called me Blue, and he should be calling me sir. And, what I thought is, as I moved in later in life and I started learning some more life lessons, I thought, man, what is it that this kid, what did he actually do wrong? And it wasn't that he was disrespectful or that he lacked respect. It was that he lacked experience. And so the reason I talk about this story is because I believe that now more than ever, we are in an experience-based market when it comes to real estate. Okay. In 2020, 2021, the early parts of 2022, if you could fog a mirror, you could sell a house. You put a sign in the yard, you drop it on the MLS, and you get $50,000 more than you asked for it, and your clients think you're amazing. They think you're incredible. You're the best agent they've ever had. Okay? And you really didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to know how to price a home. You didn't have to know how to market. But now things have changed. Okay? And experience matters. It's important. It's something that we have to have. And that experience is a combination of knowledge and education, okay, and practice. And the more practice you have and the more experience you have, you ultimately, hopefully at some point in your career, get to a point of sophistication or wisdom, right? And for me, I like to create a self-defined or I have my own definition for wisdom, which is that you've experienced the problem or you've experienced whatever it is so many times that you've exhausted every possible outcome. And that to me is sophistication. When you've encountered a problem so many times that you know every possible outcome. And so experience matters. And so Mike Koch, who's one of our great master coaches with Workman Success Systems, put this together about a year and a half ago. And this is what an average agent looks like. The average agent, okay, in 100% breakdown of their time, has a small amount of action, them actually doing the things they need to do to be successful, okay? They have a decent amount of skill. They've got a decent amount of experience. They have very little planning, okay? And they have this huge amount of void. And that void is filled with not knowing what they don't know or not knowing what to do in their business. So they come into the office every day and they go, I don't know what to do today in order to create more business. And for those who are high producing and have a business that's firing on all cylinders, a lot of us can probably relate that we wish we had more time in the day to get all the things done that we need to get done. Most of the agents come in not really knowing, or they spend their time doing things that they don't need to be doing, okay? Or they spend their time doing what we call fake work, things that feel like work, but they really aren't. And that's what that void is filled with. This is what a top producer looks like. A top producer takes more time to plan and actually have a strategy and a system in place to execute on the skills that they have. And then they take the remainder of that time and it's all about action. Okay. So what we're going to talk today about is as we build our business plan, we're going to talk about how we use the skills that we've already developed, okay, to create a plan and then take action on that so that our days aren't filled with that tremendous amount of void. Does that make sense? All right. So here we go. So building and executing your business plan. First of all, I believe this very truly. I think there's a lot of people in this room that probably believe very strongly in mindset, and it's important that what you focus on will truly become your reality. And I didn't always believe this until one of my prior coaches, Jamel Maynard, was telling me to stop working with buyers. Stop working with buyers and just focus on listings. And I thought that's like 75% of my business is buyers. And she said, just focus on listings. Just do more listings. Stop working with buyers. And as difficult as it may seem, all I did was I just changed my mindset. Just change my mindset to like, okay, I'll just work with sellers. And every time I got a buyer, I had to think really strongly about, am I going to take that buyer or is it going to take time away from me from working listings? And I would give that buyer away. And every time you give away money, it makes it, you have that much more motivation to go find a different way to make money. And for me, it was listings. And in 1 year, I flipped that 75-25 buyer-seller split the other way around. And now I'm probably even more so. I'm probably 90-10 listing heavy. And the only buyers that I really work on are investor buyers. I never even see the property, right? So whatever you focus on and whatever you think about maniacally every single day is the thing that will be your reality. Okay, so let's talk about building your plan. So hopefully you get your business plan in front of you. I give you enough time to either print it out or get it in your PDF form. Okay, so that's your front page. And as we get started, we're going to start with what we call your strategic plan. So I'm going to give you guys the opportunity as we go through this. We'll take some time to actually fill these out. What I've noticed in the past is I used to teach a class on business planning, and we'd do about an hour, and I'd go through this, and I go, now go home and do it, and then nobody would do it. So the business plan, the reason that this class is 3 to 4 hours long is because I'm going to give you time to actually do it, and then we're going to come off of mute and share some of our goals. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to open up to page 3 in your business plan, and your strategic goals are, what do I want to achieve in my business in 5 years What do I want to achieve in my life, not business? What do I want to achieve in my life in 5 years? And what do I want to achieve in my business in 1 year and my life in 1 year? And then after that is 6 months and 6 months. So we're going to take a little bit of time here, probably give it about 5 to 10 minutes. And I want you to just start brainstorming some of the things that you'd like to achieve in your business and in your life over the next 5 years and write them down. Okay? Feel free to come off of mute if you've got a question, but I'm going to mute and give us an opportunity to go through and start filling this out.
Sure.
And I'll give about 2 more minutes. All right. Keep writing if you're writing. You can just kind of write and listen. Um, can somebody come off of mute and share a 5-year and a 1-year business goal with me?
I'll be the guinea pig.
Okay.
So Nick is my coach, and this year has been absolutely amazing with us as a team. And so my business really has turned around this year and has allowed me the ability to really take a strong look at what kind of business I want to do in the next 5 years. And by the time I'm 55, which is in 4 years, I want to be able to retire. So I see myself actively working in the business for 4 years. By year five, refer out all listings, be able to either continue to work the database or be able to sell it if I'm ready to walk away, and or manage from afar, basically doing listing appointments only and everything else outsourced to an assistant coordinator. Um, this year, I was able to achieve a goal which I never thought I'd be able to get to, which was to go from 2 listings last year to over half my business this year was listings. And so um, I had 2 dozen, I'll have 2 dozen closings by the end of the year, 13 of which were listings and 11 were buyers. And so my goal for 2025 is 75% listings and 25% buyers and referrals. Um, so that's where I started.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for being my coach.
Let me get one more person to share, and I'd like on this one, I'd like you to give me a specific income goal for your 1-year business plan. So if you're somebody that has a specific 1-year income goal, I would like to hear it. I'm gonna choose somebody. I might choose somebody that's not on camera too. Let's see here. Who do we got? Denise, is there somebody on your team you would like me to choose?
I haven't scrolled through. Is Allie Orsi on the call? Yes, she is. What's up, Allie?
Good morning.
Afternoon, morning, all those things kind of run together.
All right. Allie,
Yes.
what's your 1-year business goal?
For income is 125,000 in revenue.
Okay. How many transactions is that?
Based on our average, that'll be 17,
Okay.
actually less than that, probably more like 13, but I'm shooting for 17 transactions minimum.
Okay. So 13 transactions will get you 125, but 17 transactions will get you more than that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's two different goals. So which one is it?
Well, let's stick with 125 and 13
Why not the higher one?
because the one I already turned in was 125, but let's go for higher and let's raise my income goal to closer to 150.
I love that.
Oh, feel
Let's-
free to do that, Allie. Feel free to do that all day long.
I love that. Okay, let's shoot for the 17 transactions one, which is maybe closer to 150.
Yep.
Okay, I like that. Thank you. And then what's your 5-year plan then?
Where was I? In 5 years, I am earning 250,000 a year and own 3 properties.
Can I ask you why that's not your next year goal? I mean, I know the 3 properties maybe, but why not 250 next year?
Well, honestly, I've never created over 125,000 myself. When I was partnering with my husband, we did 250 years ago, but that wasn't in my consciousness.
Okay, so your past experience is creating the baseline for your goal setting, correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay.
Thank you for volunteering that information. I appreciate it.
Or being voluntold.
Being voluntold. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. All right, cool. We're going to come back to a couple of things that Allie just talked about, and we'll come back to a couple of things that Jennifer talked about. I want to give you a couple more minutes to finish the next section here, the last part of this section, which is questions 7, 8, and 9. So how will I know I'm making progress on those goals that we talked about? Okay. What's the biggest pain in my business right now? And what's going really well for me? So I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes to fill those 3 things out. And then we're gonna come back to some of the things that we chatted about.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
So when you're sitting there thinking about, how am I going to know I'm making progress? My P&L, right? But there's a concept over financial, it's not financial literacy, competency. What's the word? Like my whole financial, what?
I'm trying to think if I can think of the word you're thinking of.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like what Allie's saying, like I have 3 properties. Financial plan, my financial,
Yeah, your financial plan. I mean, so your financial intelligence is knowing what to do with your money.
yeah. Yep.
And then you have a financial plan, which is what you're going to do with it. But how will you know where you're making progress would be I mean, Jenny Wilson makes a great statement. Is your net worth statement, right? Like
Ooh,
if you're,
that's yep.
so your
I like
overall
that.
net worth statement or your financial statement.
Yeah, I said my P&L, but I like my and net worth.
Yeah. So I'm a huge proponent of tracking your net worth on a yearly or a biannual basis. And the goal is to always be going in a positive direction. But the problem is some people look at it, they base it on like money in their bank account. Well, if you used a bunch of money in your bank account to go buy a rental property, now you don't have money in your bank account anymore. And if you're basing your you're judging your financial self based on the amount of money you have in your bank account, well, it'll keep you from ever using that money to invest or buy a rental property. So a net worth statement is very valuable in being able to go, okay, am I moving in the right direction? Are the investments that I'm doing putting me in the right in the right place? And the great thing about being in the industry that we're in is, we're kind of inside traders of our own, of our own business, and we have the ability to get opportunities to see great deals that maybe come across our plate that we can take advantage of from a financial situation or from a financial standpoint. So yeah, I mean, a net worth statement is what we call it, Denise, if that's kind of helpful.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yep, that's exactly. So it's the P&L, right? That's valuable and important.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
your
net
P&L is
worth.
your business,
Right.
but how much money is your business making versus how much actually ends up in your bank account? So we want to make sure that your revenue and your profit are, which is your P&L. But we got a lot of agents out that are, claim to make 500, 600, 700, a million a year, and then when you get done with their P&L, they're actually netting out like 150K.
Right. So, and on a P&L, I think that there's a personal P&L and a professional P&L. And I think it's important that I separate those two things out
Yeah.
as well. Yep.
And most
Thanks.
people don't keep a personal P&L, but they have a budget, right? And if
I
you
get
keep a
it.
budget, and it's money in versus money out, but yeah, having a personal P&L is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah. Something to play around with. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, give you guys one more minute on that. All right. So I'm not going to review that particular page. I just want it to be in your mind, and we're going to come back to some of the biggest pains and maybe what's going really well for you in your business. We'll come back to that. One of the big things is, how will I know I'm making progress? Okay. That which gets measured gets done. So one of the biggest ways you'll know you're making progress is that you're tracking it. Okay. I can't tell you how many people I work with that can't tell me how many transactions they've done on the year or how much money they've made on the year. You can't know if you're reaching your goals if you've never established what those goals are, and if you're not tracking towards it, right? So one of the analogies I like to use when we talk about doing a business plan, because the fact that you guys are sitting here doing a business plan today, it most certainly puts you in the minority of business owners and especially real estate agents. Most people are not doing a business plan. And to me, that's just crazy. It's crazy. And I know that that's the truth because I host these business plans for my office, or these business planning sessions for my office. Heidi Greer, who's in my top left corner, used to be my managing broker, and she used to host business planning sessions that I would go to. And I was, one of probably 10% of the office that showed up at her business planning sessions. But they're incredibly valuable. And the analogy that I use is, if you were going to build a brand new house and you didn't have a blueprint for it, you just had an excavator show up and start digging, the chances that your house turned out exactly the way you envisioned it are zero. So if your contractor and the person who's running the excavator and the person who's framing the home and the person who's putting in the kitchen and the bathrooms and the flooring and all of that, if they don't see exactly what you are trying to build, they can't get it. And even once they do, even once they have a blueprint, the chances that it turns out exactly as you envisioned it are still pretty much zero, but it might be 95 to 99%. But if you just had somebody come out and you said, build me a house, the chances that that came out looking like the way you want it to come out to would be zero. Okay, so by not having a business plan, we're essentially telling somebody to build a house with no blueprint. So that's why we're all here today. And the way that we build out these business plans is very strategic in our approach. So we're going to come back to that in a second. Your next page that we're going to get to is page 6, and it talks about what we call the 5 F's. It's our family, faith, fun, friends, and fitness. And one of the biggest things I love about Workman, and that I loved being a Workman client and being a Workman coach, is that every goal that we set and every process that we implement has to be able to be executed without sacrificing family, faith, fun, friends, or fitness. Okay, so how many of you might be the person yourself, okay, or how many of you know somebody in this business that works really hard and does really well, but doesn't have enough time for their family, doesn't have enough time to get to the gym in the morning, doesn't have enough time to go for a walk or take care of, walk their dogs, doesn't have enough time to hang out with their friends anymore, right? How many of you are sacrificing something that should be more important than the income that you bring in so that you can have a healthy business? Yeah. Bree, tell me what you're sacrificing in your life for your business.
When you said spending time with friends, that was definitely it. I can't tell you the last time that I went out for like a girls' night or anything like that. And I also think that spending time with family too. I mean, most of my weekends I spend doing open houses, and it's kind of hard to see everyone when you're doing open houses rather than fun things like you should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sam Sousa, can you tell me something you might be sacrificing in your life for your business?
I think I'm a really clean person, so I feel like sometimes my home is not as clean as I would like. So that's something that I would love to get on top of and have like a nice, clean, organized home
Sure.
instead of working on my files.
Yeah, absolutely. One more, Briddick. What are you sacrificing in your life that you shouldn't be?
I would say definitely attention to my family. Um, the evenings, I'm on the phone quite a bit. So I think yeah, I would say just presence with my family for sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about business 24/7, so I'm kind of obsessed. So I wish that I would be a little bit less. So
Yeah. I think everybody has something, and the problem is we have to have something hit really hard for us generally to do something about it, right? For those of us that are sacrificing our fitness or our health, for example, we don't really do anything about it until we have a really big scare, and then we go, oh crap, we really need to focus on this. And there's a coach with Workman that has a story that hits me hard every single time. She was a single mom working as a real estate agent, and she was doing pretty well, and she was killing it, and she was growing a team, and she would go to all of her son's baseball games, but she would always be on the phone. And after the game, her son came up to her and said, "Mom, did you see that?" And I can't remember what it was, but did you see that hit, or did you see that play I made? And she couldn't bear to tell him no, so she told him yes. But she didn't see it because she was behind the stands on her phone working on a deal. And the name of that woman is Christy Buck. And if anybody knows who Christy Buck is, from the Houston area with one of the highest producing real estate teams probably in the nation, and definitely in Houston, Christy doesn't miss her kids. Her kids are a little bit older now, but after that, Christy didn't miss her kids' baseball games anymore. And that was the thing that had to happen in her life to realize she needed to make a serious change in her business. Okay. So I want you guys to start thinking about what it is that you need to do in these 5 F's because of the first thing that we're going to plan on. Okay. So I want you to, before we go to your next piece here, I want you to fill out your 5 Fs, okay? And oh, one more thing I forgot to mention, and I'm going to have you go back and do this at some point, or if we don't get to it, I want you to do it after the fact. One thing that I learned, and I learned this from, again, my prior managing broker, Heidi Greer, okay, was make sure all of your goals are SMART goals. Who can come off of mute and tell me what the acronym SMART stands for?
And Nick,
Please.
specific, measurable, attainable, risky, or relevant, just depending on which one you
Yep.
go by, and timely.
Yep, time-based, absolutely. So when you guys are writing your goals, whether it's family or you go back and take a quick look at your strategic plan, okay, I want you to go back and read those goals. And if they're not SMART goals, okay, so ask myself, are they specific? So I can tell you if any of your goals contain the word more or less, it's not specific. So if it says, I want to do more deals this year, I want to spend less time working with buyers this year, those are not specific. That's not a specific word. I will not work with any buyers this year, or I will do 17 transactions, okay? And I'd like you to state your goals, I will, or I am, something in the present or the future tense, not a I want to, or I wish to, or I hope to. I want you to write your goals, I will, okay? So go back and look at those first goals and change them to SMART goals, okay? So a SMART goal would be something like, I will make 50 calls a day, 4 days a week to expired listings every day in 2025. That would be a SMART goal. It's specific. I'm going to call expired listings. Okay. I'm going to make 50 of them. Okay. It's measurable. That's what the 50 is. I'm going to do 50 calls. It's attainable. I can certainly do that. 50 calls a day is easy. Okay. It's relevant to my overall goals. And it's time-based. I'm going to do it every day, and I'm going to do it every day for a year. Okay, so SMART goals. So now that you move into your 5 Fs, I want you to do the same thing. SMART goals with your 5 Fs. So when you write down fitness, I don't want you to go, I want to lose some weight. Nope, that's not a SMART goal. I want to go to the gym more. Nope, that's not a SMART goal. I will go to the gym 3 days a week, every week for 2025 for a minimum of 30 minutes. That's a SMART goal, okay? I will lose 15 pounds by March 31st, 2025. That's a SMART goal, something like that, okay? So take a few minutes here to start filling out your 5 Fs. Give you about 2 more minutes on this one. If you're already done, go back to your first goals on your strategic plan and make them SMART goals. All right. Who would like to give me a 5F goal?
I'll go.
Please.
So you want one for each or all of them or what?
You just give me one.
Um, for fun, I said I'll go mountain biking twice a week during peak season.
Okay. Love that. When is peak season for you?
Spring, summer, and fall.
Okay. And what does that do for you when you get out and go biking?
Oh, I mean, what does it do? I mean, it does everything. I don't have my phone. I'm out in nature and I've got intense cardio going up a hill. So it's complete reset for me.
Clear your brain a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Who else? Somebody give me a family or a fitness goal.
I can go.
Please.
For a family, I will host or attend 2 family dinners each month for 1 year.
Okay. Who does that involve?
My immediate family, just those that live in Vegas.
Okay, that's cool. So is that parents or grandparents or?
Parents, yeah. So it would be parents, all my siblings, nephews, nieces.
Awesome. Love that. Cheryl, I saw you come off of mute, so I'm going to make you share whatever you were going to share.
All right, sounds good. So fitness, mine's not necessarily like cardio, I guess, but my fitness is getting my cholesterol came back very high. So I'm going to get my cholesterol down to 200. And by doing that, I'm going to lose 10 pounds and change my diet to a Mediterranean diet.
Okay. Love that. When are you doing that by?
Right after Christmas.
Okay. There's no better time
I
than the
might not
present,
have
you know, Cheryl.
What's that?
There's no better time than the present.
Well, it is the holidays. I know I'm making an excuse, but
I love it. I love it. That's great. Cool. So again, make sure that your SMART goals or your goals here are SMART goals. So if you want to go on, family vacations, it's, one family vacation in 2025 or 5 family vacations in 2025, right? And it's okay. I'll tell you, I have a goal. It's just hard to, I think it is hard to measure this, but one of my goals with family is to be more patient with my kids, and to stop yelling as much. And I'm not a yeller actually, so I rarely yell. So I guess I could put a number on it, which is I want to never yell at my kids. And like I said, I rarely do that anyway, but I want to never do it. And so that's one of my family goals is don't yell at my kids. Have better conversations with them. And that's really hard with an 8 and a 5-year-old, but and it's hard to measure, but I don't want to yell at my kids. Every time I yell at my kids, it makes me feel bad. So I don't want to do that. So anyway, I love that. All right. As we look at our goals, okay, again, the reminder here is that for all of our strategic plan goals, whatever that goal is that's within that strategic plan, we are not allowed to reach that goal by sacrificing something in our 5 F's. Is that clear? Everybody give me a thumbs up. That makes sense? We cannot sacrifice any of our 5 F's in order to reach a financial goal or whatever goal is in our strategic plan. And the cool thing is, I promise you there are still plenty of hours in the day to do everything you need to do to reach your business goals and not sacrifice your 5 F's. Okay? All right. I want to go back to, it was Allie. Where is she? She disappeared. She turned her camera off so I can't see her.
Yeah. Allie had to go meet an appraiser real quick.
Got it. All right. Well, all right. Then I don't want to use Allie because she's not here. I got to pick on somebody that's actually here. So, who we got? Somebody give me an income goal. Somebody give me an income goal.
My
And next year,
Sam, you gonna give me yours?
Yeah, I was gonna say 1 million for next year.
1 million for next year. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your current level of production?
80,000 a year.
Okay.
So less than 15 transactions.
Okay. What are you gonna do to increase from 80 to 1 million?
So right now I'm working on my 6-month plan, but onboard 2 experienced licensed agents, and hire a full-time transaction coordinator, implement a new CRM.
Okay.
And let me see, what else do I have? Create a 6-month content calendar for social media, and then edit my website to have a better lead capture system.
And how specifically does that generate $1 million worth of income for you?
Well, I think they're pretty specific, but I think I just started the coaching program, so I think by tracking my points every day and literally just having a daily goal of this is what I'm going to hit. I'm going to hit, 2 appointments. I'm going to call this many people. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
I love that. Who's your coach?
Randy.
Cochran?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. He's lucky to have you. That's cool to be.
Thanks. Yeah, Randy's awesome.
Awesome and ambitious like that.
Hey, Nick, can you do me a favor? Allie's trying to get back in on her phone. Could you let her in?
Oh. Is it not letting people in?
Probably not without you saying let in.
Uh-oh, then I could be in trouble because I'm not being requested to let people in.
Okay. No worries. Keep going.
Let me see here. Maybe I don't have me as the host somehow.
You're good. Keep going, friend.
All right. Well, I think there was somebody else. That could be trouble because I don't know who the host is. If somebody knows how to tell who the host is,
I love that this happens to other people.
let me know.
I will. I'll see what I can help.
Because I think Patty Speakman was trying to get on too, and she said she couldn't. So anyway, all right. So Sam, I love that. I love that big goal. Did you come off of mute? Somebody came off of mute there.
Jen is the host.
What's that?
It shows that Jen is it shows that Jen is the host.
Oh, Jen's the host. Perfect. Jen, are you letting people in when they request? Jen is in the next office over, so hang on one sec. Hey, are you on the call? You're the host. Are you letting people in? Can you make me host again somehow? Okay. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about, Sam, first of all, I love that goal. I think that's really cool because you're going to prove my next slide, kind of what we talk about. So Allie, who was on earlier, and hopefully it says I'm the host now, so if she requests, I should be able to see that. But Jen said she's
I'm in.
There she is. Okay, perfect. All right. Can I use you as an example? Can you come off of mute and have a conversation with me real quick?
Until the appraiser walks in, yes.
Okay, and then you just cut me off when the appraiser comes.
Okay.
All right. So question for you. So we talked about we want to do 150, and then in 5 years you want to do 250. And I asked you why not just do 250 next year, right? And then you said, and so I asked you if your prior experience is what led you to your current belief, right? And you said yes, it is. Okay. So this is one of my favorite coaching tools, one of my favorite teaching tools. It's called the results pyramid. Okay. And the way this reads, the way you look at this is that your experiences create your beliefs create your actions, and your actions create your results. Okay. Now, what most coaches do, or what a lot of mentors do, is if you're getting bad results, they try to change your actions. Okay. The problem is that's not where you need to change. That's not where you need to coach to or mentor to if people are not getting the proper results. The reason that they're not getting the good results is maybe because their actions aren't working. But in order to get them to change their actions, you can't just tell them to change their actions. Okay. So if Jenny is making expired calls and not selling any homes, and I say, well, just stop making expired calls and do something different. Okay. The problem is if she says I don't do expired calls because I never get anything out of them, or I don't go to open houses because I never get any clients out of them, she's basing her actions off of her beliefs, which come from her experiences. So the only way that I can get her to change her actions is I have to change her beliefs. So you see that black line that's in the middle of this results pyramid there? It's to show coaches and mentors and teachers where we have to coach. And we have to coach below the line. We can't coach above the line. We can't coach people's actions. We have to coach to their beliefs and their experiences. And so what happens, Allie, is I would challenge you as a coach to say, I would say something like, well, why can't you do 250 transactions or 250,000? And your only response, in my opinion, is what you've already said, which is, well, because I've never done it before, right?
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, what else holds you back from doing 250,000?
Well, it is really where it starts, because it's not necessarily that much more work. It would be taking higher end listings and selling, homes that are in a higher price point than, the average in my community.
Okay. So,
and the belief that I can get those.
Is anybody producing at a level currently that they never thought was possible? Like you never imagined in your entire life you'd make this amount of income. Okay. So at some point, each of the people that raised their hands, or each of the people that are off camera that thought, yeah, that's me, okay, had a limiting belief of what they could produce. And at some point they got over that limiting belief and they decided, oh, I guess I can do more, right? And so what happens is all these are is limiting beliefs, because at some point everybody in this room did 0, and everybody in this room would have killed to do 150. And when they were doing 150, they would have killed to do 250. And now there's a handful of people in this room that if they did 250, they'd be in big trouble, because it'd be a bad year. It'd be a real bad year, right? So whatever shoes you're walking in right now, somebody is looking up to that. Somebody's hoping to produce that
Yep.
level in this upcoming year, right? So I want you all to think about what it is, what limiting belief you have about your production. So I want you to go back to your 1 year plan and look at whatever income goal you have there and ask yourself, why is that my income goal? And is there a limiting belief involved there? Does that belief come from, does that income goal come from, well, because that's what I think I'm capable of doing, or it's two more than I did last year? Why two more than you did last year? Why not double what you did last year? Why not triple what you did last year? Okay. And it sounds like I'm just saying numbers, just double it, just triple it, but there's plenty of people that have. There's tons of people in your market, Allie, that are doing 34 transactions. So it can be done. It's there. The inventory is there to do it. Right?
That's
so,
true.
So it's there. So there's some type of limiting belief, and it's like, okay, well, it's usually just based on a past experience. So what we've got to do is we got to put this veil of ignorance on that tells us you can't look at anything you've already done. You just have to look what you're capable of doing in the future. So what is it that you're capable of doing? Okay? Because what is, I got to ask, what's the difference? Sam, will you come off of mute for a second?
Yeah.
You did 80, you're on pace to do 80 this year?
Yeah.
Is that your best year?
Yeah.
80 is your best year ever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
I
have
only
a goal to
started.
do 1 million. And Allie, what's your best year ever?
My best year was probably 130, 140.
Okay. So what's the difference? What's the difference between Sam, having a mindset to go to 1 million and you having a mindset to go to 125?
She believes she can.
It's all it is mindset.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. If Sam fails miserably and only gets to 50% of her goal, she'll do $500,000 next year. So we like to call that failing up.
Yeah.
Okay. And so some people like to set their goals that they maybe are like, man, I'm going to set it up here. And if I get halfway there, beautiful. Okay. Some people don't like to do, I'm one of the people that don't like to do that. I don't like to set like what I feel are unrealistic goals. Okay. But I also don't believe that 1 million is an unrealistic goal. I believe with the right processes and the right type of work, I believe it can be done. And if Sam were my client, I would encourage her to continue with that mindset, and let's put a process together. And it would no doubt be a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot of hard work, and you're going to get told no a lot in order to sell $1 million. But if she hits $500,000, I bet she'd be ecstatic, right? So all I want you to do is start looking at your goals, okay, and start thinking about what limiting beliefs you have in your business and get rid of them.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right. So, let's see, do I want to talk about this? I might come back to that. I'll come back to that. All right, let's go before we move on, let's talk again about the skills-based market, okay? Workman has something called Daily Success System, or Daily Success Habits, okay? And Daily Success Habits is a tracking system that we use to make sure people are spending time doing money-making activities, okay? Those money-making activities are the things that actually generate income, okay? It's not, fixing your website or printing your business cards or that type of stuff. It's prospecting and calling, dialing for dollars, that type of stuff, right? And we've tracked millions of data points over the past decade, okay? And here are some statistics. From 2019 to 2023, somewhere between, on the low end in 2021, 127 prospecting phone calls to get a deal. Okay, these are not phone calls to people these are prospecting phone calls. Okay, not top 50, not sphere of influence. This is calling expireds. This is calling open house leads. This is prospecting, trying to get new business. Okay, $127 to get one closing. Through 2023, it's about 222 calls, and I can tell you in 2024, it's even up from that. It's somewhere in the 250 to 260 range. Okay, so if these numbers are true, then it's really just a sales is just a numbers game, right? So Sam wants to do $1 million. Sam, what market are you in?
I live in Central California, so my market is a few counties,
What's your
large.
price point?
350 average, 350,000.
Okay, so you got to do 100 transactions to do $1 million. Okay,
Yeah.
so I look at 100 transactions and I go, all right, it takes 222 calls. It's going to be more like 250 this year. So how many calls have to be made to get 100 transactions?
Over
Multiply that number
2,000?
by- What's that?
Over 2,000?
Oh, it's way more
Or
than
I mean
2,000.
20,000.
Okay, it's way more than that.
Oh,
Okay.
would you
So-
time that
so-
by 100 transactions or no? Or you're saying per closing?
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
The calls is 222 for last year.
Yep, so it's about 250 this year.
So do you just times that by your goal of
By 100, 25,000, right?
got it? Okay.
So 25,000 calls. Now, 25,000 calls seems like just overwhelming and daunting and just like, I don't know, maybe horrible to some people. Like, is there anybody on here that's like, that sounds like my worst nightmare, right? That sounds like my worst nightmare, right? But here, can you guys, if I bring this up over here, can you see this? Yeah, there's my calculator. 250 or 25,000 calls times, or let's divide it by, what do we think? 240 working days a year? That's 104 phone calls a day. How long does 100 phone calls take? Anybody know? Jenny, how many? 2 hours. 100 phone calls takes 2 hours. Okay, so can you do a million? Can you do 100 transactions using this math? Right? They can be in person. They can be in person. These are, but generally the call is to get to an in-person, right? But 250 calls. Now let's say my numbers are off and it's actually 500 calls. Okay, well, still do 100 a day. You'll do 50 transactions and you'll make $500,000. I would consider that to be failing up, right? Even if my math is really wrong and I'm off by 4 times, it's 1,000 calls. You make 25,000 calls this year. That's 25 transactions. That's 250K. That would triple your income from this year, Sam. Okay, that's why I think $1 million deals is doable, or $1 million in deals, 100 transactions is doable. Just what level of effort are you going to put into it? And are you going to sit down and do it? It's 100 phone calls a day. And we got to have the calls to make. We got to have the right people to call. Okay. So we already did this. This is what we sacrifice. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about building out. Yeah, that's 68 calls a day if you call 365 days a year, Jennifer, but we did 240 working days. So that was even with weekends off. You get to take weekends off and you can still do that. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to move on. We're going to come back to actually building out a plan like that. So we'll come back to that. But for the time being, I want to move on to this next piece here. Okay. This is especially important for those of you that either have a team or are looking to build a team. If you are on a team and your team leader is either on or not on this call, and you don't know what your team's core values are, you need to go to your team leader tomorrow and be like, hey, I was on this webinar yesterday and we should have core values. Okay, so I want you guys to take a minute and we're going to talk about why this matters, why this is so important. I want you to brainstorm your core values. These are the things that are important to you, and I just write everything down. We're gonna fine tune it a little bit later. We're gonna choose maybe 6 to 10. Okay, but in these blank spaces, I want you to write all of your core values down. It could be honesty and integrity, and I don't know, being on time, or being happy, or having joy, or being grateful, showing gratitude. Could be being charitable, or whatever, positive mindset. Just think about all the things that are important to you, that if you were working with somebody, what core values would be most important for those people to have. I'll give you a couple of minutes to go through that and put your core values down. Try to come up with like 20. All right. You should have a decent list. Okay. And then I want you to read that next paragraph. It says, now read through your list and carefully consider how each one fits you. Cross off words one by one until you're left with a handful that you identify with most strongly. Be intentional. The remaining words are your core values. Okay. The qualities that are truly important to you, truly define who you are. Somewhere maybe between 5 and 10. Then you're going to take those core values and you'll write them down individually under the core values section. Okay. I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 17. I wrote down 23. Then the goal is to narrow that down to 5 to 10. And I want you to think about if you're having a hard time crossing ones off, because it's always kind of weird to come up with core values, things that are important to you, and then cross them off and be like, oh, I guess that one isn't important to me. So that's not what we're doing here. We're crossing off the ones, or I should say we're keeping the ones that are the most important to us. Okay. And so the way that you establish that, and what we're going to talk about here is when we're building a team and growing, whether it's and whether this could be a team of agents that work with you or admin. It could even be an outsourced team. So the transaction coordinator that you work with, maybe a VA or somebody that you work with. We want to make sure that these people align with our core values, right? And so as you're crossing things off, I want you to think about, would I fire somebody for violating this particular core value if they were on my team? Okay, So I'll give you a good example. One of my core values I have on here is, or I have a couple on here regarding sense of humor. Somebody with a good sense of humor, somebody that's funny, that type of stuff. Would I fire somebody if they weren't funny? No. Okay. I have one on here that somebody is thrill seeking. I like people that are that want to try new things, that are risk takers. Would I fire them if they're not? Probably not. Okay. I also have on here honesty. Would I fire somebody if they were dishonest? Yes, I would. That's how I want you to think about your core values. Because as we build a team, the way that we build it, and we make it very simple, because one of the things that we find with team leaders is they have a really hard time knowing when to let somebody go. It's one of the hardest decisions to make, because and then have a reason for it, right? Like, man, they're just not producing. I feel like I need to let them go. They're like costing me money, and but they're trying really hard. And so I don't know, like, do I give them another chance because they are working really hard? They're trying really hard. So I don't know. Okay. It comes down to this. The way I always advise is, are they in violation of your core values? Okay. So is someone who is not producing, Lisa, can I get you to talk with me for a minute, Lisa Bender?
Absolutely.
If there's someone on your team that is not producing, is that a violation of your core values?
It would depend on why they were not producing.
Yeah, the answer is maybe, right? So if Lisa is on my team and we've got, Lisa says, I want to do 24 transactions this year. And I go, great, Lisa, we've got a strategic approach to doing 24 transactions. This is kind of what it looks like, and we'll help you build your business out. And are you willing to do what it takes to achieve those 24 transactions if we lay it out for you?
Yes.
Lisa, you're willing to do what it takes? Great. And now I break those things down and I go, so Lisa, this is the work that it's going to take. I need you doing 1 open house per weekend. I need you making 20 calls a day. You need to have a top 50, and you need to do these things. Are you willing to do those things?
No.
No, you're not? So that makes it pretty easy. Right off the bat, she doesn't even need to be on my team, right?
Right.
But in this case, she's going to say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Lisa. I think that's great. I don't think it's that difficult of a business to do 24 transactions. This is what it looks like. Are you willing to do those things?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. And 2 months into her being on my team, we're not on pace to do 24 transactions. And so I say, Lisa, I just want to call you in because I noticed you're not on pace to do the 24 transactions that you're shooting for. And I know that was a really important goal to you. Where are you struggling right now?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm struggling.
Okay.
You know, I'm having a hard time connecting with people.
Okay.
Open houses aren't really great.
Are you doing, so we're now 9 weeks into the year. Have you done 9 open houses?
No.
Okay. So remember when we talked about what it takes to create this level of business, one of the things was you need to do 1 open house per week. Do you remember that?
I do, but I had some family obligations that kind of got in the way.
Okay, I understand that. What about this upcoming weekend? Do you have an open house planned?
I don't, but I can do one this weekend.
Okay, are you doing that for me or are you doing that for you?
For me.
Okay, good. When are you going to plan that open house?
I can do that today. I'll plan it out.
That'd be a great idea. I think you should, because now's a great time so that you can get it in. So Lisa says that she's going to do her open house. She's going to do it at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And then next Monday, Lisa and I talk, and I go, Lisa, how was the open house? And she goes, I didn't end up doing it because I had some other stuff come up and I didn't get time. Now we start to have an integrity problem. And I will bet if after all you guys were done on these core values, everybody has some sort of integrity word on here. It could be integrity itself. It could be honesty. It could be hardworking. It could be reliable. It could be responsible. And in this case, I think Lisa violated a handful of those core values. I think she violated integrity. She told me she was going to do it, and then she didn't do it. That's like literally the definition of integrity. I think she violated reliability and responsibility. She told me, I'm going to go do an open house. I'm going to do it this afternoon. And then she didn't do it. That's not very responsible. Maybe she violated hardworking. Maybe I think it's a stretch to call it dishonest. I think it's a lack of integrity. I don't think it's dishonest. Dishonest would be, I'd be like, Lisa, did you do your open house this weekend? And she said, yeah, I did. And then I come to find out she didn't. That would be dishonesty, right? But I think now she's violating core values. So now not only is she not producing, but she's violating core values. Lisa is no longer on my team, okay? That's how we make that decision. Now, if Lisa comes to me and she goes, Nick, I've done more than 9 open houses. I've been doing 2 a weekend, and I've been making 40 calls a day. I just can't get appointments. Now, what do we have? Do we have an integrity problem? Do we have a core value problem? Or what do we have? Lisa, what's our problem?
The connection, being able to make connections with people.
Okay. And so who does that ultimately lie on? Where's that problem? How do we fix that problem?
Training.
Yeah, it's a training problem. It's a training problem. And that's going to fall on the team lead. So now, is it fair for me to go and terminate Lisa from my team because she's not producing? No. I have to terminate Lisa from my team because she's violating core values. But if I am the reason that she's not being successful because I'm not training her properly, I'm not giving her proper guidance, I'm not giving her proper feedback, I'm not giving her the tools to be successful, then I'm actually probably the one that's in violation of core values. Right? So this makes our evaluation of our team members so much easier when we look at core values. And so when we're looking to hire and fire, we hire and fire based on our core values. We don't hire and fire based on production, because if we've got somebody who is hardworking and ethical and honest and has integrity and has empathy and is reliable and responsible, but they're not producing, we just have a training problem. We've got the right person in the wrong position. Maybe that person should be an admin. Maybe that person should be a showing agent. Maybe that person could be supportive in some other part of your business, because when you find somebody that adheres to all of these core values, you've found a good person. Now we just got to get them to do good things in the business. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is why we do core values, and I believe so strongly in them. Okay, if your team members, I'm not going to put Denise on the spot, but I would ask Denise's team members if they can recite the core values of Denise's team. Okay. And if they can't, I'm going to encourage Denise and her team to get together during all their meetings and recite their core values. Because I think it's that important. And that way, when Lisa comes into my office, she knows what she's in violation of. I'd be like, Lisa, what do you think, when it comes to our core values, I told you when we hired you that we hire and we fire based on our core values, and we recite our core values every single week. Which core values do you think you're in violation of right now? Denise, what do you got?
Yeah. Our core values are definitely mission, value, culture, those things. I think that they would know where to find them. Would they be able to recite them? But as you've been talking, these core values are a decade old now. And while you were talking, I sent out to the team, hey, are these the values that you still align with? I mean, our team looks different in 10 years. We've got 3 people on it that have been around 5 or 6, but it was a great question that I haven't asked in a really long time. Raise my hand. Yep, I got them. Yep, I got them. Yet I got them. And everything's changed so much. Are they still relevant?
That's right.
And so it was a great.
And that's why it's important to redo your business plan every year and do your core values every year. We as a team, we just added a new one like 3 weeks ago. And it totally throws us off now, because when we recite them, we have an acronym for them. And so as long as we memorize our acronym, we know what our core values are. But now we threw another letter in there 2 weeks ago, right?
But the last one we added was probably 4 years ago, and it was fun. I mean, if you know me, that was a really important one to put in there. But
yeah,
great question.
Cool. All right. So your core values, we're done with those. Okay. If you're not done, come back with them later, but really define those, and especially if you're a team lead, especially if you're looking to build a team, because this is how we hire and fire. I still think they're important for an individual agent. Okay. But if you're not worried about hiring and firing, but when you're a team lead and you don't know when to hire or fire somebody, this will give you excellent guidance. Okay. All right, so moving on, next page in here is the mission statement, gives you some guiding questions. Okay, why am I in business? What makes me unique? What do I want to be known for? What do I intend to do better than everyone else? What do I want to accomplish in my business? I do want you guys to come back to this, but we're not going to go over this today. A couple of reasons for that is there's not a whole lot of explanation involved in here. And I do think that some of this, like number 5, what do I want to accomplish in my business? It's somewhat similar to the strategic plan that we filled out, but I want you to think about it as on a deeper level. So when you think about what do I want to accomplish in my business, it's not, I want to sell 100 homes. It may be something greater than that. Like I want to help people. Like for me, it becomes my mission statement, which is our mission statement is helping people build wealth through real estate. There's nothing that makes me more, there's nothing that I'm more passionate about than watching other people become wealthy by making smart financial decisions that somebody guided them on. I love it. Financial freedom is one of the most powerful things on earth. And I think if everybody has the opportunity to experience it, the more the better, right? And so what do I want to accomplish in my business? It's to truly teach and help develop people into building wealth through real estate. So it's not about doing a certain amount of transactions. That's what I want to accomplish in my business. So when you're filling this out, that's what I want you to think about. Okay, why am I in business? It's kind of the same thing. Okay, it's similar to that. Why am I in business? It's probably not to sell 100 homes. For me, mine is more, why am I in business? Well, mine's in business to earn an income so that I can use that money to make more money so that I can ultimately have financial freedom that allows me to do the more things with my family and friends that I want to do, right? So that's a real surface level thing, but that's kind of what it is. And then when we think about what makes me unique, okay, really that one sometimes takes a while. What is it truly that makes you unique? I can't stand when I hear agents say like, oh, like I really care about my clients. That insinuates that everybody else doesn't care about their clients, right? Like, oh, I really like, I really get personal with them and I learn their kids' names, and we all do. Well, I don't know that we all do, but a lot of us do. Okay, like we send birthday cards to their kids. Like, what is it that truly makes you unique? If you stood next to 100 other agents, what is it that's different about you? And we want to figure out what it is that makes you known about that. And that's what I intend to do. That's the way I build my business. And I think there's a handful of people in this room, that the ones that know me, that could be like, I can stand Nick up against 100 agents and he's the only one that knows that or does that or whatever. I believe that to be true. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go past that because this kind of takes some time and some thought, especially the mission statement. So when you get to your mission statement, like these are the guiding questions for it. Okay. Any questions on that? I'm happy to answer questions on it. I just don't want to take time to do it right now. If we have time, we can come back. But any questions on guiding questions for your mission statement? All good there? Okay. All right. Let's move on to SWOT analysis. Okay, SWOT analysis, a lot of people like to push this one out. They don't like to do this one. I think it's really valuable. Heidi and I did a SWOT analysis just the other day on our brokerage firm, and it was fun. So because we teach SWOT analysis a lot. So SWOT analysis is your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. I think the most valuable piece of the SWOT analysis is the, you're going to see it in your worksheet here. You've got 1, 2, 3 of these. Your first one is for you to fill out. Your second one is for somebody else to fill out. And I would encourage you to make a couple copies and have maybe 2 or 3 other people fill them out. Okay. Interesting statistic, and I'm gonna maybe forget the actual percentage, but I'll be close. So there is a phenomenon called the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you want to look this up, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And the Dunning-Kruger effect is that human beings, generally speaking, okay, have an inability to properly self-evaluate. Okay. And so these studies, and I think these are probably imperfect studies, but these studies show that less than 20% of the population can properly self-evaluate. So the problem is that 1 in 5 of us in this room, okay, will fill out this SWOT analysis and be fairly accurate with it. The rest of us will not be accurate with it. And it's the reason why I want you to give it to somebody else. I want you to give it to your spouse. I want you to give it to your significant other. I want you to give it to a friend. I want you to give it to a colleague, okay, and see what they believe your strengths and your weaknesses are. I think that is the most powerful piece of the SWOT analysis. It's not you self-evaluating, because there's an 80% chance you don't do it very well. Okay. The Dunning-Kruger effect specifically says that people who are really good at something, truly really good at it, tend to underestimate their abilities, and people who are not very good at something tend to overestimate their abilities. Okay. So you might be one of those people where you go, it's called imposter syndrome when you think you're not very good at something that you are good at. It's imposter syndrome. Anybody ever feel like that? You're like, man, I don't think I belong doing what I'm doing. Right? And especially in real estate, because so many of us, probably all of us at some point, had to fake it till we make it. Right? Is that not true? Is there anybody in here that was like, no, I knew everything before I ever did my first deal? Like, we all were faking it until we made it at some point. And so there's a level of imposter syndrome that we feel when we do that. Okay, so SWOT analysis. I want you to start thinking. We're going to fill one of these out. I want you to fill yours out. Okay, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay, and these are internal. These are things that are to you. So a weakness can't be like inventory is low in my market. That's not a weakness. That's an external threat, which we'll talk about. But I want you to start with your strengths and your weaknesses. What are you really good at? And what are you really bad at, self-admittedly? Okay, so do your SWOT analysis. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Write some things down that you're really good at. Write some things down that you're not so good at. Also, as you're filling out your weaknesses, don't give like the BS response that people give in like interviews when they go, "What's your greatest weakness?" And they go, "I care too much." Like, that's stupid. So true weaknesses, like I am terrible at marketing, and I'm not organized. I'm not an organized person. So what are the things that you really are bad at? Not that you care too much, or not that you are a workaholic. All right. Um, I want to make a comment on, so Denise made a comment in the chat. Sometimes you have to borrow someone else's belief in you or someone else's just belief in general. And I love that. And you know, the some of the times the way we coach is if we go back to this, one of the things that Verl talks about, Verl Workman talks about is look, if you don't believe, because you've had these experiences, and if you don't believe you can do 250,000 a year, you don't believe that open houses work, or you don't believe that whatever, he will encourage you to, if you can't change your belief about that, please borrow mine. Take the opportunity to use my belief, right? Because I believe you can do 250K. I believe that you can be successful working open houses. I believe that you can do this because there are plenty of people in here. Anybody in here call expireds or for sale by owners and they don't work that well? They've just made lots of calls in the past and they're like, I just don't get good response on them. Sam? I'm sure there's way more people than that because there's very few people who are very good at making calls. And how many people just won't do them? That should be way more people raising their hands, right? Jenny Wilson is one of the most successful people I've ever seen at converting expireds and for sale by owners. She spends 2 hours a day, every single day doing it because her belief is that they work, because her experience is that they work. So if anybody in here wants to stay, oh, calling expireds doesn't work, calling for sale by owners doesn't work, okay? Jenny is incredible at it. And if Alexis Kemp is on here too, Alexis Kemp built an amazing business on for sale by owners. She started by just working for sale by owners. And she's one of, if not one of the top producing agents in Iowa. And she's one of the top producing agents in the nation. So for those of you that are like, oh, cold calls don't work or for sale by owners don't work or expireds don't work, they do work. You just have a limiting belief because whatever calls you made, whatever script you used didn't work, or somebody else told you it didn't work. But they do. Everybody in here does something different that works for them. So the goal of the SWOT analysis is to figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, because we're going to have you focus on those strengths and not those weaknesses. Okay? So let's see here. Who else we got? William, will you come off of mute and chat with me for a minute?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good, I'm good. Just to let you know, I'm a brand new fresh agent
That's
on
okay.
Sundial, so I just got off of onboarding and training.
I love that.
So I've interacted with some leads from, like Referral Exchange and some other things. My team leader, Nicole Ventry, she's working on, getting me like a few different like a list so I can start calling.
Love it.
Just to give you a little background.
I love it. That's cool. I love working with a blank slate. That works great. So tell me, what's a couple of give me a couple of your strengths. What are you really good at? And this isn't real estate. What are you good at in life?
So I actually have SWOT analysis built.
Beautiful.
Really on all of this. Let me pull it up for you on what I wrote in my done business plan right here.
You should be able to tell me some of your strengths without looking at it. You should just know.
Yeah, I know. I know. But on the spot, I'm like some of my strengths, connecting with others. I genuinely enjoy, it kind of sounds like cliche, but I come from a hospitality background, and meeting people from all around the world, it is a genuine passion of mine.
Okay.
I found that, particularly hospitality, like specifically, and what all of it entails, like, doesn't really align with like what I want to do. Like that's just in terms of like working in a hotel do right now. But I've found that making like these connections with people that may be here in the country for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4+ days, it is a genuine passion of mine. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay.
I was one of the things I plan on capitalizing is events in my area. I'm in the Orlando market, because that's one of my passions, just connecting with people. I love networking events and all that good stuff. So
Okay.
plan on capitalizing on that.
So how about some weaknesses? What are some weaknesses? Something that you just know you're not good at?
So one of my main weaknesses, I'll tell you right now, is I would say from past experience, trying to do everything at once, and never really good at getting good at like one thing, getting really good at one thing. It's always been, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Um, and I never really gave myself a shot at going all in, because I've done different sales jobs. I've sold life insurance, I've sold cars, I've done door to door, which, oh my gosh, for Vivint Smart Home. So I've done a few of those, and I found that I was soul searching, and I don't regret doing any one of those things. I genuinely believe that has set me up for this right now. um but my weakness, I would say, in the past was, getting discouraged too early on, and not, just really sticking to a plan. But also, this is the first time, like ever since I started with Workman and doing all of this, it is the first time that I sat down, made a plan, made a income goal sheet, like a whole write down, like what everything looks like. And not I'm really hopeful, not hopeful, but excited to get the ball rolling in this
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, that's great. So I want you to really focus, especially as you build your business, on kind of staying true to yourself and true to what your strengths are. Because one of the things that, and the problem is this is developed in us from a very early age, right? We get this actual opposite mentality that we should have. Because what happens is, at a young age, if I suck at math, but I'm really good at baseball, what do my parents do?
Um,
What would be a reasonable thing that would my
oh,
parents do?
hire a hire a coach,
What kind of coach?
um, a baseball coach.
Get you a math tutor.
Oh, wait, sorry, math tutor. I was like, wait, you see, my brain is in like
So
law
here's the
land.
thing. Here's the thing, William. Your brain wasn't wrong. The correct response, what should be done, is I should have gotten a baseball coach. But
Oh,
we focus. But Britick is right. What most parents will do is they will hire a math tutor. If I suck at math and I'm really good at baseball, they're going to focus on what I suck at and make me better at it, or try to, instead of taking the thing that I'm good at and making me really good at it. And when we think about that, think about all the times in your life that you've just like, I got to learn how to do that. I got to learn how to do that. I got to be better at this thing that I'm not really good at. Okay. Well, if that's the difference is, if you coach with someone like me, I'm going to tell you, no, you don't. Let's just get that off your plate, and let's focus on the things that you're really good at. So when you start to build your business and you start to build your business plan, I want you using this SWOT analysis to understand what you're really good at, and then I want you to do that thing a lot. Because the people who are really good at one particular thing are the ones that do the best in life. We call them specialists. Okay? So let me give you an analogy about this. Okay? If you're a doctor, you could be a general practitioner and do physicals and things like that. But if I go in and I am a general, when I'm a general practitioner, okay, if you come in, William, and you hurt your elbow, okay, I might send you to an orthopedic surgeon, right? I might send you to an orthopedic. And then that orthopedic surgeon is going to do an MRI, and they're going to look at it and they're going to go, I'm an orthopedic, but I don't specialize in elbows. I do elbows, but I don't specialize in elbows. So I'm going to send you to an elbow specialist. Let me ask you, the elbow specialist, the overall orthopedic surgeon, or the GP, which one makes more money? Who makes the most money?
I would say the the GP.
Think so? Anybody a doctor? Anybody have a husband that's a doctor, a surgeon? I promise you the specialist surgeon makes way more money. The person who only does operations on just the elbow makes 5 times what the general practitioner makes.
Oh, because they're
They're a specialist.
like this. Yeah.
They're one of the best in the world at elbows. And they just do elbows. And you know why they just do elbows? They probably didn't always just do elbows. They probably were a GP at some point, and then they went into orthopedics, and then they realized they were really good at elbows, and then everybody else realized they were really good at elbows, and then they sent them so much elbow business that they didn't have time to do wrists and shoulders. So now they only do elbows. And when you're a specialist and you only do elbows, you can charge whatever you want to do elbows, because people are not going to want anybody else. They're going to be like, I want the guy that is so good at elbows that he only does elbows.
Right.
The problem is, and like I said, you subconsciously answered the question right. The problem is that most people don't look at it that way. They go, I suck at math, or my kid sucks at math, they need a math tutor. No, they don't. They need a baseball coach. Okay? Because the best people in the world all have coaches. Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Okay? Serena Williams has a tennis coach. They're the best in the world at what they do, but they have a coach because it drives them to get even better. And the coach is the one that can be picky about, well, you're almost perfect, but we need to change this one thing about your swing. Right? And so if we do that and we get you really good, I promise if you're kind of good at everything in real estate, you're not going to be anything special, and you're going to be an average agent at best.
Right.
But if you're really good at one thing, everybody will use you for that one thing. Okay? Be a specialist. Be a specialist. So I want you to really look at your SWOT analysis and start thinking about this. And those of you who are parents, I hope that you'll walk away from this learning a lesson about maybe your kids. What's your kid really good at? Maybe we start encouraging them to do that thing instead of coming down on them for the thing that they're not good at. Encourage what they're good at. Encourage the things that they can grow with, and stop worrying about the things that they're not so good at. Right? Let's encourage them to be better in those areas and improve those strengths. Because ultimately, those things that they're not good at, and they don't want to be, usually if they're not good at it, they don't want to do it anyway because they're not good at it. Stop focusing on those things. Start focusing on things. Now, if they want to be good at it and they're not good at it, that's different. If they want to play the piano and they're terrible at it, but they go, I really want to play it, get them a piano coach. That's fine. But most of the time, if they suck at math, they probably don't like math either. Stop harping on being the best math student they possibly can when you should be getting them a tennis coach or a golf coach or a baseball coach. Okay? So think about the same thing for yourself. What are your strengths, and focus on those, because ultimately as we build a business, okay, and it's not necessarily for brand new agents, but as we grow a little bit, okay, we're going to start offloading the other things. And if you've got enough belief in yourself as a specialist, you could do it right now. So don't focus on any of the things. You hire them out. Okay. And I know it's tough because you're like, I can't hire them out because I don't have any money, because I'm not making any money to hire them out. But I'm telling you, there are people, and I'm telling you, the experienced agents in here all can name somebody that took the leap of faith that was like, I never did admin. I hired an admin the day I started in real estate. And that's a huge leap of faith. Denise, did you do it? Or do you know somebody?
I did it.
You hired an admin the day you started in real estate, right?
Yeah, I was in title and escrow when I left. My secretary says, I want to go with you. I was like, what? And I brought her with me and never looked back.
And
Those
what
are
a
just
leap of faith
things
that is.
Yeah, but you know what? For me, it was, instead of looking at the big dollar amount, it was looking at the monthly that said, will this investment get me another transaction? And of course it did. It put me doing what I do best and what she does best. She was with me for 5 years.
Yep. And the stuff that the weaknesses that you focus on will suck up so much of your day. And when we go back to Sam's little thing where I said Sam needs to make 100 calls a day, that takes 2 hours of her day. So if I can offload 2 hours of activities that she's not good at, that she shouldn't be doing anyway, she can make 100 more calls.
Well, and it's important, that part of it. You have to replace what you offload
That's
with
right.
what you're good at.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's a mistake I have done, right? I've done it myself too. There's like, oh, I get to breathe now. Well, you can do that. I understand. However, if you're building, you probably want to add back in what you take away.
That's right. Okay. Sam, yeah.
So I have a question because I was filling out the weaknesses, and my weakness is that I have really bad anxiety with talking to strangers. And so then you're telling me to call 100 people, but I'm also really good with technology. So is it something where I would just transition that to like let technology help me talk to strangers, or should I like how do you work with that anxiety of like talking to strangers when it is a weakness?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a great question because if somebody sits down and says, "Hey, Sam, you got to make 100 calls," and you're like, that makes me want to die inside, right? So we do one of two things. So if to do $1 million in real estate, you're going to have to talk to strangers, right? You're going to have to talk to people. Do you have anxiety going on a listing appointment?
Yeah, I have anything to do with like, well, large crowds and unknown situations. So like even doing open houses by myself is like crazy.
Okay.
Like
So what
really
about a
bad.
support system? What about somebody that goes with you on all
Yeah,
of
well, usually I have somebody go with me. Otherwise, I
that?
don't do them, like my husband or a team member or something. But it's a weakness, so it's kind of like, do we focus on it, or what do you do to make it a strength, or do you focus on just your strengths?
So to me, I'm going to look at whatever your strengths are. So you go, okay, well, I'm a beast at marketing, or I'm really good with technology, and I can create lead flow. So if you can use technology to create lead flow, then that's all you got to be. Like that's all you got to do. If you're a team lead, okay, your job is to rainmake. And so the idea is like bring in leads, create leads, and then you never have to work a single lead. You can run a real estate team and never do a deal because and ultimately the funny thing about that, Heidi's one of them. Heidi doesn't do deals, right? But like you don't have to do deals to run a real estate team. Once you build, in fact, that's where most people are trying to get to. They build up, they do all this real estate, and they go, God, I don't want to be in production anymore. I just want somebody to do the deals for me, right? So my question is no different than why can't William hire an admin right now to do all the things he's not good at? Why can't you do that? Why can't you hire somebody to do all the transactions and you just rainmake? You can do that.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
what
have to.
Randy's been telling me. So that yeah, you're reinforcing it. Yeah, I was just confused with the weaknesses. If it's my weakness, so you are right. Kind of focus off of that and do what my strengths are. Cool.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, the just think about what those and truly focus on them and go all in on them. Because if you truly know you're that good at it, then do it. And we all have limiting beliefs on it. We all have the things that like, well, what if this happens or what if this happens? Well, what do you have to lose? Figure out what do you have to lose? Especially like William, for example, as a new agent. The thing I love about new agents, Williams, you don't have anything to lose, dude. Like you really don't. You already don't have an income from real estate, at least. I don't know, you might be doing something different, but you already don't have an income. So what's the worst case scenario? You fail and still don't have an income?
Yeah, it's all literally only up from here.
There's only one way to go. The problem is if you develop these bad habits like I've done throughout my life, is you build this really successful business and it's really hard to make a change because that successful business is enabling you not to do the things that you really want to do or the things that you know that are your strengths. And coaching to that is a whole different ballgame. That's a battle. I have a battle with my coach who's like, "Do you want to get out of production?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "Then get out. Stop doing deals." And I can't because it created a level of income for me that I'm so comfortable with that I'm scared to make the jump to the next level. So we have to figure out, how do I do that? It's not something that gets an immediate decision, right? But we're always looking for progress. Okay, so strengths and weaknesses, and then on the other side, I want you to go fill out your opportunities and your threats. And these are external factors. What are the opportunities in your industry, okay, or in our, so come off of mute or drop some stuff into the chat, some opportunities that are in our markets. And these could be national opportunities, okay? What are some opportunities? I'll just give you one to kind of get the juices flowing. We've got, regardless of your political beliefs, we've got new administration coming in that's going to do different things. Doesn't matter what they are, but it's going to change things. It's going to change the way people think about what the real estate market is. So one of the cool things that you get to do is you get to go educate people, right? What does this mean for you? Regardless of your political views, regardless of what you believe, what does this mean for you? Okay? And I'm not telling you to take advantage. I'm not telling you, but there are people right now that don't want to be in our country anymore. They legitimately feel that way. They're like, I don't want to be in our country. I'm moving out of the country. Sorry, but that sounds like an opportunity for me to sell somebody's house. Okay? So the NAR settlement, the NAR lawsuit that we had last year, okay? William says the new agent, person has a new agent. I see the buyer brokerage agreement as a good thing, right? Get out in front, educate people, okay? There's so many great opportunities. I can tell you, we've got some big laws that changed in Colorado last year regarding landlord laws, okay? A lot more strict policies on landlords. You know what opportunity that creates? Go pull a non-owner occupant list of every property in the greater Denver metro area. Call those landlords, because I bet they don't know about it. Call those landlords and be like, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you're keeping in tune with the new laws that are passed, but now you can not rent to, you cannot, discourage, or I should say, you cannot not accept a tenant because they have low credit. And they're gonna be like, what? That's like one of the qualifying. I'm like, yeah, kind of sucks. Maybe it's time to get out. Like, those law changes are going to create a lot of people that want to sell their non-owner occupied rental properties because it's going down this road of not really wanting to own in Denver anymore. Right? Insurance, great one, Sam. Insurance is going up. Okay, Florida, William, Florida. I don't know about it around Orlando, but Fort Myers, coastal towns, Cape Coral. Okay, insurance, major thing. So what's happening is people, even people that own their homes outright, can no longer afford to live there because taxes and insurances are so high. Okay, those are external opportunities. The thing is we could call those threats, but I believe every threat carries with it an opportunity. And that's what I think is great about this part of the opportunities and threats. Put down your opportunities and put down your threats, and then decide which ones you can act on using your strengths. So one of my strengths is just education, financial education, speaking, presenting, things like that. I have the opposite issue of Sam. I'm terrible with technology. I love talking to people. So what should I be doing? I should just be talking to people. I should be calling people going, hey, Mary, I don't know if you heard, but I know you have a rental property in Denver, and I'm not sure that you are aware, but we have some laws coming down the pipeline that are changing the dynamic between landlords and tenants. And I wanted to tell you about them and just be a resource for you if you have any questions. And then Mary's going to go, you know what? I don't think I want to deal with that. In fact, we've got a tenant or a lease that's expiring 3 months from now, and I don't think I want to go through the process of renting again if that's the case. Perfect. Well, I'd love the opportunity to be the person that sells it for you. I'd love to interview for the job if that time comes. And Mary goes, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so yeah, for those of you that are Workman clients, the shift modules that are in the resource center go over a lot of these different threats and opportunities and how we turn our threats into opportunities. Okay, so that's what your opportunities and your threats are. Your SWOT analysis, please, please, please give it to somebody else. Okay, again, 80% of you are not properly self-evaluating, and I guarantee all of you are thinking it's not me. Oh no, I self-evaluate pretty good. Nope, give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. I'm not a great self-evaluator. Sometimes I am, but on other things I'm not. Okay. Once you're done with your SWOT analysis, okay, you've got a final page there, which is page 14 of the business plan that says your strengths, opportunities, pairings. Okay, so we're going to pair those up, whatever your strength is. Okay, if you're really good with education and you know a lot about the current things, well, my opportunity is to call and educate all those people that the new laws are affecting. That's my opportunity. Okay, and then your weakness is, this is where we decide, are we going to learn them or are we going to outsource them? I will say the majority of the time, you're probably better off outsourcing them, because when you start understanding your true value of the money-making activities in real estate, and if I'm coaching you and you start understanding what that value is, there's no task that you can't afford to pay for if you're truly spending your time on money-making activities. Because I can tell you that listing homes using the national average from the National Association of Realtors says that a listing takes 8 to 10 hours. And then if you're really good at it, you can drop that down to like 6 or 5. And if you're making $10,000 for a listing, that's $2,000 an hour. I can promise you can hire everything else out. And if you focused on nothing but doing listings, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go do listings. You'll make more money, even with outsourcing your other stuff. Okay. All right. Let's do an income goal sheet, and we'll do this together because I've found a lot of people have a hard time going through this. So we'll do one together. Let's see here. I'm just going to make it up. I won't use an example here. I won't put somebody on the spot. We'll just do an income goal sheet. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your, at the very top, you've got your net and your gross goal, and your expenses, if you know what your expense ratio is going to go in that percentage column. So I think it's important to set your goal as a net goal. How much money ends up in your bank account at the end of the year? Too many people are worried about GCI. REMAX gives awards on GCI. Verl and I agree that REMAX should make it a net income thing. The problem is you can't really track that. But I don't have any level of, I don't want to say respect. Respect's not the right word. I don't have any level of, I guess, envy, or I don't know that that's the right word either. But you'll get what I'm saying, of somebody that does $1 million gross and puts 100 grand in their bank account at the end of the year. That's not impressive to me, right? So if you're buying $10,000 a month worth of leads to do $15,000 a month worth of business, like I'm not impressed. Okay, so take your net goal. So I will, to make this really easy, I will say my net goal is 200,000 net annually. So if you want to put $200,000 in your bank account, we're going to put that number there, and then you're going to put your expense ratio. So you should know your expense ratio. If you don't, you should start having a profit and loss and be able to look at the end of the year how much money you grossed and how much money you spent. Okay, I will tell you, depending on the size of your business, for the majority of people in here as individual agents, okay, your expense ratio as an individual agent, a good expense ratio would be probably 30, let's call it 33%. That'll kind of give us easy math. Okay, but 33%. If you're over 50% expense ratio, you've got a problem. You're spending too much money to not make enough money. Okay. And if you're under like 20%, you're probably not spending enough money. And I mean that in a way that you could be doing a lot more business. Okay, so let's do a 33% expense ratio. Okay, so if you have a 33% expense ratio, that means you're going to have 100 grand in expenses, which is a $300,000 gross. So $300,000 gross with 33% expenses is $100,000 in expenses, which is $200,000 net annually. Okay, if you need to know how to do that mathematically, I'm trying to pull up my calculator here. Where'd my calculator go? So everybody got it? Mathematically, you're going to divide it by the difference. So whatever your if your net goal is 200,000, you're going to divide it by not the 33%, but the difference, the other percent, the difference between 100%. Okay? It looks like that.
Hey, Nick,
Yeah.
where do you put in taxes? Is that part of your expenses or is that on top of? How do you account for that to have accurate numbers?
Yeah, so it depends if you want to include taxes. So this would just be like this would be before taxes. So your net then would be what would be taxed. So now you'd have a tax rate on 200,000. If you want to include that and you're like, nope, I want to do 200,000 after taxes, okay, then you'd have to do a different set of this. So you'd have to give your gross, and then you'd have to know your expense ratio, and then whatever that number is, you got to take your taxes out of, and you would know your tax bracket at that point. So like if you were, if you had 250,000 in income after your expenses, you're probably $250,000 in net income. You're probably going to have probably about a 25% effective tax rate. So now you're going to lose another 50, 62.5. So you're going to be at 187,500. So you would have to have another 2 lines here to do that. But this would be prior to taxes. That's on here. Nick, when you calculate expenses, is that prior to salaries? So I would say that's
that kind of answered my question.
Yeah, and that's
'Cause
prior
the
to
taxes. It would be taxes and the same thing, right?
Yep. So yeah, that'd be prior to salaries. If you're paying yourself a salary, for example. Okay. If you're paying yourself a salary, the expense ratio is going to change. You probably bump up to that 50% expense ratio if you're paying yourself a salary. So you get to determine how you want to be here. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. So what you're going to do is now you're going to put your commission percentage for the listing transaction side. So what's the average commission that you make on the listing side? For all intents and purposes, I'll use 3% here. And then I'm also going to use 3% for the buy side. But if in your market that's different, if you tend to make 2.5 on the buy side or something like that, put that in there. Your commission split, okay, is what you pay to either your team or your brokerage. Okay, so let's say you have a 50% split to a team. You're going to put that in there. Now your next line is average closed sales price, listing sales price. So what is the average listing that you take in your market? 200,000, 400,000, 500,000? Put that number in there. And then in the line below that, it's probably similar for your buyers, but maybe you take more higher end listings than you do with buyers or vice versa. So put your number in there. So I'm going to use the number 500,000. So $500,000 is our average listing price and our average buyer price. Okay. Now, what percentage of your business is listings? So like Jennifer Lesh earlier said that this last year she was 75-25. Or no, she wants to be 75-25, right? Is that right, Jennifer? Yeah. So you want to be 75-25. So we're going to put what you want to be, not what you were, what you want to be. Okay. So if 75% of her listings, or 75% of her business is listings, she can put 75% there, and she can put 25% for that. Cheryl, good question about the cap. For those of you that cap, I actually like to just drop that into my expense ratio up top. That way I'm not worried about. So then my commission split is actually 0. Knowing that, like if you know you're going to cap, if you're consistently hitting cap and you know your cap's, let's say 16 grand, okay, you're going to take that 16 grand and put it as part of your expenses. And then that way you don't have to be like, well, it's my expense ratio is 20% until I hit this, but then it's this. I just put that lump sum 16 grand into the expenses. Does that make sense? So now we got our percentage of listings, 75% and 25%. And so now what we do is we know that if our average sales price is 500,000 times 3%, that's $15,000. Okay, and if my commission split is 50%, it's 7,500. Okay. So after the @ symbol, there's a $sign. I want you to put your number there with your commission divided by the percentages that we have, or multiplied by the percentages. So if your average transaction is 500,000, you're going to multiply that by 3%, okay? And then you're going to multiply it again by your commission split, 50%. And you should come up with 7,500 or whatever your number is, right? Now you're going to take that 7,500 and you're going to put it in that line that says at $. So that's $7,500 each. Okay. And then below that, you're going to put in the buyer side. So now we just need to figure out how many transactions we're going to do at 7,500. Okay. Well, pretty simple. If we've got a $300,000 gross and we want 75% of that, so times 0.75, to be listings, that's $225,000. So that $225,000 is going to go in our last empty blank there where there's already a 0. And then we're just going to divide it by the 7,500 that's per transaction, and we need to do 30 listings. So now it should say across there, starting at the very beginning, average closed listing sale price 500,000. Percent of business as listings is 75%. 30 transactions at 7,500 equals 225,000. Okay, now it's pretty simple. We know that we need to make 75,000 from the buy sides, and we divide that by the 7,500 that we get per transaction, and we need to do 10. So we're going to do 30 list side transactions and 10 buy side transactions. Does everybody follow that? If you don't, please come off of mute. Let's figure it out now, because you're not going to know how to do the rest if we don't have that right. All right. So 30 listings. So now the listing goal. Okay, to have 30 listings sold, so you're going to input the number 30 there, because that's how many we need, giving a blank percent ratio of listings to listings sold. So out of all the listings that you have, if you have 30 listings in a year, how many of those are you actually going to sell? Okay, we might have a handful of them that expire out that we never sell. So think about what your closing percentage is. Most people, I think, in our current market probably have somewhere around a 90% closing rate. So maybe put 90% in there. So if we have a 90% ratio of listings sold, okay, well, again, pretty simple. We're going to have 30 divided by 0.9 means we need to have 33.3 listings annually. Okay, I like to round up, so call it 34. Okay, again, you're doing these with your own numbers. Okay, now you're going to take that number and you're going to move it down to the next line. To have 34 listings given, now what is your percentage of listing presentations that you actually sign? Okay, I know a lot of people, every time I do this class, there's somebody that goes, I close all the listing appointments I go on, 100%. Okay, that may be true. It's not that I don't believe you. It's that you're just not going on enough listing appointments. And you're only going on listing appointments with people that you know, and that you're not going on any listing appointments of people that don't know you. Because I don't care if you're the best listing agent in the world, people are going to say no to you if you go on enough appointments. Okay? So I want you to think back to your previous year. If your number for this year is to do 30 listings and you only did 15 listings last year, you're going to have to go somewhere else to get another 15 listings. So are you going to go 15 for 15? Maybe, but now you're only halfway to your goal. So how are you going to get the other 15? It's going to be with people that you don't know. I would tell you that if you're closing more than 50% of your listing presentations, you're still not going on enough. So I would like to shoot for the number 50. So 50% ratio of presentations to listings means that you need to go on, if you need 34 listings, you need to go on 68 presentations annually. Okay, so then pretty simple, you go down below. To have 68 presentations annually means you need to have how many per month? It's just under 6. I like to round, and I always like to round up. So you need to have 6 presentations per month. To have 6 presentations per month, it means I need 1 every 5 days. Now let me ask you, if you knew you could make $225,000 on listings alone after a after a 50% split, and all you had to do, where's Sam? There she is. She's in the top corner for me. All you had to do was get one appointment per week. That's it. All you have to do is you have to go to work every single day, Sam, and your goal is to get one appointment per week to list a home. Does that sound like a doable thing?
Definitely.
If your life depended on getting one appointment this week, I bet you could do it. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing for the buy side. We'll go a little quicker here. Okay, to have 10 buyers, given your ratio might be a little bit lower here. It probably is. Buyers that you go out, you show some homes, they fall off the radar, they decide they don't want to buy, they can't afford, they go back to renting, they re-sign their lease. Okay, 10 buyer sales given maybe 50%, maybe 30%. Okay, whatever number you think is right for your business means you need, I'll go 50%. You need 20 annual, and that should 20 annual buyers. Okay, to have 20 annual buyers, I need to have how many buyers monthly? I like to round up again, 2. To have 2 buyers monthly, you need 1 buyer appointment every 15 days. Okay, so if I told Sam, in order to have a $300,000 gross business or a $200,000 net business at the end of the year, your goal is to do 1 listing appointment per week and 1 buyer appointment every 3 weeks. That's what you need. That just seems so simple. And the reality is that it is that simple. Real estate is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. Okay, so now you're going to take those goals and you're going to drop them below. Okay, in the goals for section, how many listing appointments we need to attend, how many listings we're going to take, how many we're going to close, how many buyers we're going to close, and what income that means for us. So you're just moving your numbers down from there. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going to pick on Sam again. Sam, you need to get 1 appointment in the next 5 days for a listing. What are you going to do to get that appointment?
Probably focus on expireds in my area.
What are you going to do specifically?
Download the sheet, look up their phone numbers, call them using a script, and do that until I get an appointment.
You just told me you don't like talking to people that you don't know and that it gives you anxiety.
I'm gonna pass it off to Shay. She's in here right now watching.
So Shay's going to make those calls.
Yeah, Shay's on my team.
So you're going to generate the lead. You're going to generate the phone number. You're going to use your technology skills to go get the phone numbers, and you're going to have her make the call.
Yeah.
And then you guys are going to go on the appointment together.
Yeah, we're on a 50-50 right now.
Cool. So you guys need to probably combine your numbers so you figure out, okay, we need to go on a lot. Plus your number's 1 million, so it's way more appointments than that.
Yeah, the million is for I'm the broker, so it's me and I have 3 agents right now. So
cool. So millions for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. So the reality is that the activity is that you're going to prospect expireds. Okay. So now my question to you is, cool. What time are you going to do that? What days?
We have a standing calendar like meeting or office time from 11:30 to 2. So probably try an hour a day and see how that goes, how fast we can call.
Try an hour a day or do an hour a day?
Do an hour a day. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like to do, not try. So, and what time are you going to do that? You said 11:30 to 2, but if you're only doing an hour, I need to know like what time are you going to make your first dial?
11:30 to 12:30.
11:30 to 12:30. Perfect. And you're going to make 1 hour of calls?
Yeah, and we'll do 4 days a week.
4 days a week. Perfect. Yeah. So now it goes into your schedule and nothing takes precedence over that. Why? Because that's a money-making activity and that's what gets you to that $1 million goal. Okay. And if it's 11 o'clock or 11:30 and you start making calls and the very first person answers the phone and is like, I would love, actually, I do need to relist my house and I'd love to have an appointment with you. In fact, can you come over in a half hour? What do you say?
I have a previous appointment, but I can make it in 2 hours.
Perfect. Okay. Because someone like William, who is just like, thank God I got a deal. Great. they're going to clear their schedule because that's the most important thing he could possibly do today. In his mind is go on a listing appointment. But I'm telling you, the most important thing you could possibly do today is finish your prospecting calls. Okay. So when we put something in our schedule that's a money-making activity, okay, that's what we call our big rock. Okay. So what's fun about this, after we're all done, okay, we're going to create a schedule for ourselves. It's called time blocking, and specifically, Workman calls it My Perfect Week. We time block everything that we do. Okay. And our 5 F's go in first. Those are your big rocks. After that, your money-making activities go in. Those are also your big rocks. And then everything else gets filtered in between. And nothing gets to replace your big rocks. I already told you you can't do any type of work that overcomes your 5 F's, which are your big rocks. But you know what's really cool? You can accomplish your 5 F's very easily in probably 2 hours a day. Very easily. That gives you time to go work out in your fitness every day. That gives you time to connect with friends. Plenty of time. And then I can tell you your big rocks in real estate, it's probably only another 2 to 3 hours a day. So you got 5 hours a day for all of your big rocks, and then you can fill everything else with whatever you want. Cool? All right. Any questions on the income goal sheet? This is really important because we have to be able to monetize, and we have to be able to do basically what we call backwards math. What does $200,000 or $300,000 worth of income actually look like in terms of work? Because otherwise it seems like an insurmountable goal. Okay. So Allie, for example, when we were talking about earlier, what 125 looks like, well, that's 17 transactions. Okay. Well, I just broke down a business that's 40 transactions. So half of that means that Allie needs to get 1 listing appointment every 10 days and 1 buyer appointment every 30 days. And if I came into her office and I said, Allie, you literally the only thing I want you to focus on the next 30 days, I need you to get 2 listing appointments and 1 buyer appointment. That's the only thing you need to accomplish in your job for the next 30 days. And if I had a check for Allie for $250,000, okay, and it was an all or nothing deal, at the end of the year, she either got $250,000 or she got nothing, and it was based on setting 30 or 24 listing appointments and 12 buy-side appointments for the year, I guarantee she'd get it. So what happens is when we look at this income goal and we break it down into actually what the activities are in order to reach the goal, we look at it and we go, that's not that bad. In fact, we go, is that it? And it is. That's it. Okay. All right. We're going to move to our next piece. Any questions on our income goal sheet before we move on? You guys are doing great. I know this is a long class, but I promise you, like, otherwise people just don't do it. So I'm glad you're sticking with me. Okay. All right. If there's no questions on the income goal sheet, we'll go to the pillars, and then we're almost done. I think we'll get done here right about 3 o'clock or just after. Okay. All right. So, William, this is incredibly important for you, this 4 pillars. Okay. One thing I notice when I'm coaching, whether it's new agents or experienced agents, I tend to notice that we have problems in the business, and it's at one end of the spectrum or the other. Okay. Mm-hmm. Pillars of income are essentially, we define them as the lead generating activities that we do to make money in our business. Okay. And those lead generating activities are things that we choose for ourselves. And the problem is that whether you're an experienced or an inexperienced agent, we tend to err right here. And I either see people that only have 1 pillar of income or have 30. And both of those are wrong. And it tends to be the experienced agent has 1 pillar of income and the inexperienced agent has 30. And both of those are incorrect. And I'll tell you why. We had a pretty solid exodus of agents, especially experienced agents, okay, in 2023 and 2024 and the second half of 2022 after interest rates went up. And the reason we had that is because experienced agents, what do you think experienced agents, I told you they work one pillar. What do you think that one pillar is?
SOI.
Sphere of influence, referrals, right? So let me ask you this. If you've been in the business for 20 years, what type of person, I'm trying to think about a better way to say this, but how about what type of person fills your SOI? Like, who are the people in your sphere of influence is a better question.
The people that align with essentially your core values, almost. I would say something similar to that, because after 20 years of business, you pretty much placed everyone in there that aligns with, you surround yourself around with people that are kind of are similar to you or have like a similar beliefs, not similar to you specifically, but have those principles that after 20 years of business, I would assume you have book of people that all align similarly.
Could be, but the reality is I mean, will you
Old people.
Sorry, who was that? And say that again.
It was me. They're going to be old people, right? You've been in the business for 20 years. They're going to be old people.
So let me ask you this, Heidi. How in the last 20 years, how many past clients do you have?
160.
Cool. So Heidi's sphere of influence in the last 20 years contains 160 past clients. Heidi, what is one thing that those 160 people have in common?
They're all getting old, like me.
They are getting old. Okay. There's a couple things they have in common. One, they all bought a house with Heidi. Okay. The second thing is they probably, and there's instances where this isn't true, but they probably all own a house. So experienced agents have a sphere of influence filled with people that already own a home. Okay, so let me ask you, who wasn't buying homes in 2023 and 2024?
People who already had houses that they liked?
People who already had houses.
With
you know why they weren't buying? What's that,
They have
Allie?
low interest rates.
Because they had a 2% interest rate. So
Amen.
People weren't moving and aren't moving in 2023 and 2024 because they want to. The only people that are moving in 2023 and 2024 are the people that need to. Job creation, right? Job transfer, family creation, divorce, death. But people that want to move, they really weren't moving. And so Heidi's sphere of influence that's filled with 160 people that already own a home, if that's her only pillar, that pillar dried up significantly in 2023 and 2024, right? Because the reality is, out of a sphere of influence of 160 people, and Heidi's sphere is actually bigger than that. That's just her past client list. But out of 160 people, on average, people move every 7 to 12 years. So I like to take that number and call it 10. Normally, Heidi should get 16 transactions out of those past clients. She should get 16 return clients every single year if she's doing a good job keeping in touch with them and they would actually use Heidi again. That's 16 transactions. In 2023 and 2024, those transactions dried up because the people who already owned homes were not buying homes anymore. So if your single pillar as an experienced agent is, I've got a huge database of past clients, yeah, well, what happened in 2023, 2024 when you didn't have anything else to rely on? So that's the problem with having one pillar. The problem with having 20 or 30 pillars is that you're a general practitioner. You're not a specialist. You're not good at any of them, or you're not great at any of them. Okay. You might be okay, but I'll tell you, if you have 30 different things you're focusing on, I promise you, you're not giving your best at one of them. And the reason that people are so good where they get to a point where they only feel like they have to work one pillar is because they're very good at that one pillar. They're very good at staying in touch with their past clients. They're very good at staying in touch with their sphere of influence. And so they build a really solid business off of it. The problem is it's not leveraged against anything else if something changes in the market. So if you're focusing on less than 3-4 pillars, like one pillar, you're in trouble if the market does something to ruin that pillar. Okay. So for example, how many expired listings were there in 2020, 2021, and 2022? Basically zero. So if your entire business was built around calling expireds, you had no business for 3 years. There was nothing to pick up. You got to have more than one pillar. You just can't have 30. Okay. So here's where we go back to our strengths and our weaknesses. Okay. Are we going to build a pillar on something that we're not good at? I hope not. So take your strengths, decide what am I really good at and what's the pillar that I can build out of it. So here's the way that we choose our pillars. First of all, the Workman way is our number one pillar is always top 50. Top 50 is the 50 people who are closest to us within our sphere of influence, people that know us, like us, would use us in a transaction and would refer us. Those are called our top 50. We keep in touch with those people once a month, and our goal is to get 86 transactions out of those people per year, working that pillar 1 hour a day. Okay, that may seem like a crazy number. It might seem like you can't get there. I know people that do get there. And I will also tell you, if you just did half of that, that would still be an incredible year. And if you did half of that, that would still be an incredible year. So if 86 is a bad number for you and you're like, no way, well, do 20. That would still be a pretty incredible year for the majority of people. Okay, so we're going to work our sphere of influence 1 hour a day. We're going to meet up with them. We're going to have lunch. We're going to get coffee. We're going to make it a goal to talk to everybody face to face, belly to belly in our top 50 once a month. So pillar number 1 is top 50. Pillar number 2 is going to be your sphere of influence, the rest of your sphere of influence, and or your past clients. If you have a huge database of sphere and past clients, you can break them into two pillars, but most people don't. Most people should be in the single pillar. Okay, top 50, you contact those people once a month. Your sphere of influence and your past clients, you contact quarterly. And these are personal, not emails, not drip campaigns. These are personal contacts. You call up Heidi and you go, Heidi, it's been a few months. How are things going? How's the family? How's the job? What are you doing for fun these days? We call it the Ford script. Okay, your Ford script is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You feel like you don't have a reason to call somebody. What am I going to say? It's awkward. I don't know what to say to people. It doesn't seem organic. Try to be organic. Don't call them and ask them for business. Call them up and see how their family's doing. See how their job's going. What are they doing for fun, their recreation, and what are their dreams? Okay? Any big plans for the year? Going on any vacations? And then that in itself will lead into a nice conversation for you. Actually, we're having a kid. And you go, oh, how's the 2-bedroom condo working out that you bought last year? Yeah, we're gonna have to probably expand. Well, I'd love the opportunity to work with you again when that time comes. Do you mind if I stay in touch? Right? And you don't even have to ask, do I mind if you stay in touch? Because I've been staying in touch with you every 3 months. Now they become a lead, and you might stay in touch with them a little more often. Okay. Your third and fourth pillars of income, you get to choose what that is based on your strengths. Okay. William, you should be in front of people as much as possible. If you're used to hospitality, like, and you like talking to people, if you're not doing 2 open houses a weekend, 2 open houses a week, if your goal is not to do 100 open houses this year, I would encourage you to try to find me something that's going to work better than that. But I can tell you, open house is one of the best ways to get business, okay? Especially if you're good at talking to people.
Right.
So, if you don't have on here, I need to do 100 open houses this year, it should be, okay? Your next one, something else. If you're good with making calls, make calls. If you want to go knock doors, go knock doors. If you want to host events, farm a neighborhood and host a bunch of events, do that. Okay? Here's the key. As you build your pillars of income, you have to be able to break down essentially the same way we did your income goal sheet. You have to be able to break down that pillar into numbers that create the financial goal, and each pillar has to be able to do your entire income goal for the year. So I want to restate that. Each pillar that you choose has to be able to do your entire income goal for the year. So Sam, each pillar has to be able to do $1 million in gross commission income for the year. If you can't build it out of the pillar, you cannot have it as a pillar. Okay? So between top 50, for example, you should be able to do $1 million out of top 50. And between 3 of you working your top 50, you should 100% be able to do that. You can get, in fact, Verl would tell you should be able to get 86 times 3 of you. Verl would tell you should be able to get 258 transactions out of your top 50 this year. Okay, so, but you got to break it down. So I'm going to do a breakdown for you because I think it's valuable to see this because most people don't know how to build out a pillar. So people will tell me like, oh, I want social media to be one of my pillars. Tell me how social media is going to do $1 million in income, which is 100 transactions. And 100 transactions we know takes X amount of appointments. How is social media going to create however many appointments for you? You got to be able to break it down that way. Okay, so I'm going to show you, and I think I can do it this way. I'm going to steal my camera here, and I'm going to unblur. And I'm going to unshare my screen. And if you guys would, on your view of Zoom, change your view to do speaker so that it's a big screen and you can see my whiteboard. Okay? Because I'm going to build out the pillar for you right now. Or you can just move me to see the whole screen. Okay. I don't really want to erase my board over here. This is a lead funnel, but I'm going to do it over here. So I need a couple people to come off of mute. Somebody who does open houses, come off of mute for me. I'm going to interview you. Who do we got?
I've shadowed a few.
Nick, I built my business on open houses. I'm happy to help.
Let's do it. Thanks, Heidi. All right. Heidi, let's build a $250,000 business out of open houses.
Okay.
All right. So 250,000, and I'm going to go very conservative. In our market, we probably average about 15,000 for commission, but we're going to do 10. So 10,000 is our average commission. So we take our total number, total commission that we want to build, and then we break it down into what our average transaction is. So now we know from that we got to do 25 transactions. Okay, so now I know I got to build 25 transactions for that to be a pillar. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take what we know about that pillar and try to build it out. So Heidi, how many people on average do you get to an open house?
5 to 8.
5 to 8. Can I just use 5?
Yes.
Okay, so 5 people per open house. Out of those 5 people that show up to an open house, how many of them are already represented or say they're represented by another agent?
4.
4 of them. Okay, so 4 are already have an agent. Okay, so we have 1. Out of that 1, and so let's multiply this by 4. So for out of 20 people that come to the open house, 16 of them are represented by an agent. So you have 4 that aren't. How many out of those 4 are a reasonable lead? Not somebody you're going to close, a reasonable lead.
2.
2. So 2 reasonable leads. And out of those 2 reasonable leads with proper follow-up, how many do you close?
Half. 25%.
Okay, 1.
Okay, 1.
So 1 deal. So 25% of the 4 people, 50, is this a reasonable, accurate depiction of open houses? Yes? Okay.
I've always thought it took 4 open houses to get 1 good client.
Perfect. Okay. So 4 open houses to get 1 deal. Okay. So if we need to do 25 deals, how many open houses do we need to do?
100.
100 open houses. Okay, so if we do 100 open houses, we can do 2 per week. So 2 open houses per week. Okay, and we get 2 weeks off a year. That would give us 100 open houses. Okay, so let's break this down even further. So now that we know we need to do 2 open houses a week, Heidi, how long does it take you to do an open house?
About 4 hours, 1 prep, 2 doing the open, and 1 follow-up.
Okay, so 1 hour prep, 2 for the open house, and 1 hour of follow-up. Okay, so 8 hours per week to do 2 open houses. Is that about accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. I just built a $250,000 a year business working 8 hours a week. Okay, now I know that you're also going to say, yeah, but Nick, that doesn't count like working with the actual client. Sure, let's put that in there. So 25 transactions per year, and we're going to say they're all buyers. Let's say you only meet buyers on your open houses, right? So 25 transactions per year. National Association of Realtors says that each buyer takes around 20 hours. Okay, I'll double it. I'll say you have 40 hours. Okay, so 40 hours times 25 transactions, okay, is 1,000 hours. Divide that by 50 weeks, and that's 20 hours per week. So in 28 hours per week, we make $250,000 working open houses. Anybody want to dispute, refute, disagree with that? Nobody?
I would say that is probably aggressive for my marketplace. However, I would say the number of hours for a successful open house, the way I learned how to do an open house really just wasn't the open house. It was knocking the neighborhood. And so knocking the neighborhood could take all week. And that's basically an adjacent activity, knocking the neighborhood and inviting the neighbors to the open house, and then circle prospecting.
That's right. And I would call those 2 activities, I would call the circle prospecting and door knocking, I would call that a separate pillar.
Okay.
And so what happens is, even if we cut this number in half, okay, because of your market or whatever it is, if we cut this number in half, so now I take Heidi's numbers, which we started with all conservative numbers. Okay, she said 5 to 8, I took 5, right? So like we took all conservative numbers. National Association of Realtors says it takes 20 hours with a buyer. I doubled it to 40. So let's cut that in half again. Okay, you do 12 and a half transactions. Okay, that's $125,000 a year business working 28 hours a week.
Not a bad gig.
It's not a bad gig. Okay, and so, but the point of the reason I wanted to show this to you is because that's the way you got to be able to break down your pillars. If you can't do that with a pillar, it means that you don't have a way to actually build it. So when people say social media, I go, how are you going to get contacts for social media? How are you going to talk to enough people? Where we can use numbers like door knocking, right? So we can use the national average of when people move. And in fact, if you want something even better, you can use title company like toolboxes to pick a particular neighborhood, and it'll tell you the average amount of years people spend in that neighborhood. And then you can go, oh, the average amount of years is 10 years and there's 500 homes. Pretty simple. 50 people are going to move in that neighborhood this year. So what you do is you go knock on the doors, and every 10 doors you knock on, one of those people is going to move. Now, if your answer rate is if every 10 doors you knock on, only 2 people answer, well, we're going to have to knock on 50 doors to talk to 10 people. And once we talk to 10 people, one of those is going to move this year, but also one of them is going to move next year. So if I have to knock on 50 doors to make 2 contacts of people that might be moving in the next 24 months, That might be what I have to do. So Sam says 2 open houses a week. This would assume you have a listing every week. Not necessarily. You can hold somebody else's houses open, right? So just
You can even hold a FISBO open in some markets.
Yeah, you can hold just go hold open somebody else's house. Find a couple great people in your market that don't like to do their own open houses. There's plenty of them. I'm one of them. I hate doing open houses. Okay, Heidi built her business on it and still hates it, which is funny. Okay, but the reality is that there's always open houses, right? So now the cool thing is now if I were your coach and you built open houses as a pillar, I would say, hey, can we try to do some things a little bit differently to get our number from 5 to 8? And if we get our number from 5 to 8, okay, that's an extra 300 people that we meet. And out of those 300 people that we meet, okay, 20% of them are going to be legitimate people, okay, which is 60 people. And out of those 60 people, I'm going to do 15 more deals. So just by doing the same amount of open houses, but being more efficient or doing a better open house that drives more people. So maybe what that means is we spend $25 or $50 to market that open house on social media. Maybe we go and door knock prior. Maybe we put out more signs than you're already putting out. Maybe we have a little coffee cart out in front for people to stop by. Maybe it's middle of the summer and we have a Kona ice truck out front. There's all kinds of different ways to hold better open houses and increase that. Okay, so every time, there's only a few things that you need to know. People move every 10 years. Okay, so every 10th person that you talk to, the likelihood is they're going to do a real estate transaction this year. So when you're figuring out what your pillar is, it just comes down to how many people you're going to talk to and have good conversations with. Okay, and if you can build this out $1 million per pillar or $250,000 per pillar, and you fail and you only do pillar number 1 to 50%, and you do pillar number 2 to 30%, and you do pillar number 3 to 30%, you do pillar number 4 to 120, or I'm sorry, to 20%, you're gonna have 130% of your goal. That again is called failing up. And when you really break down these activities, okay, the amount of time they take you and you put them into your schedule, the amount of time they take you, I promise you, you can do it in less than 40 hours a week. I promise you. And if you have so much business that then you don't have time to work the clients, that would be the best problem you could possibly have. Then hire yourself a coach and we'll teach you how to scale that business using delegated activities to a point where you can do a tremendous amount of business in very little time. And it may feel like it can't, okay? But I promise you that like I am a walking example. When I came into the business and I interviewed with Heidi, I don't know what her perception on it is, but I would bet that I was one of the most driven individuals she'd probably talk to. Like I just wanted to win.
Not one of the most. You were the most.
And I worked so hard. I worked so many hours. I worked every single day. And now I'll finish the year with 66 transactions this year. And I work less than 10 hours a week in my real estate business. The rest is coaching. The rest is doing stuff like this. The rest is mentoring. The amount of hours you work does not translate to the amount of business that you do. It's the efficiency in what you do. Your pillars have to be efficient. And I would have never dreamed to be in the position that I'm in and doing the business that I do. It's not something that like I never set a goal to do 66 transactions or 67 transactions like early on in my business. It was like, man, I got to do 10. And then I was like, man, okay, I want to do 15. And then it was, okay, I want to do 20. But if you get to a point where you're doing so much business that you don't have time, we'll teach you how to delegate it. I don't touch files. I don't show homes. I barely go on appointments, right? You create a level of service that your clients expect. They don't need to work with you. They need to just get the level of service that you represent. That's for a whole different class. Okay, so start thinking about what those pillars are, what you like to do. I'm never going to tell you things that you have to do. I'm just going to pick your strengths and try to build stuff around that. Okay, all right. The next page in here is page 17. Okay, we're going to skip that for right now, and we're going to go to page 18 and 19 and look at your goal achievement system. Okay, we call it GAS. You're going to identify 5 SMART goals. These could come from your strategic plan early on. Okay, and you're going to put 5 SMART goals in here. So what are some goals? It could be an income goal. It could be, and then I want you to take maybe what we've talked about in the pillars and maybe make those, take your income goal and then break that down into a pillar goal, which would be, I'm going to make 50 expired calls per day. Okay, or I'm going to work 2 open houses per week. And that's what you're going to put the goal in, and then you're going to answer the question, why? Why are you going to do 2 open houses per week, William? Well, because you love to talk to people, and 2 open houses per week is going to give you the level of income that you're looking to achieve. Okay? And then you're going to write down your excuses for failure. You're going to answer your excuses before they actually happen. I can tell you the excuses for failure will almost always be the same. It's going to be a lack of dedication, a lack of motivation. You're going to say, I don't have enough time. Okay? And while we write these down, as you realize that most of these are going to be a lack of, if it's excuses for failure or I don't really want to do it, then it shouldn't be a goal, right? Or if like Sam, if you write down, I need to make 50 expired calls per day, and the reason that you don't do it is because you have anxiety over making calls, that's probably not a good goal. Okay? If your excuse for failure is finding time or I don't have time, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Instead of, do I have time or I don't have time, I want you to ask yourself, is it a priority for me? So don't say, do I have time for that or I don't have time for that. I want you to say, that's not a priority for me. Okay? And I'd love for you guys to take this beyond your business plan and start implementing it in your life. It's one of the most powerful things I did for myself in my life was I stopped saying I don't have time for things, and I started saying that's not a priority for me. And it changes your mindset because you don't necessarily have to say it out loud. And in fact, I don't recommend you say it out loud. But next time your kid comes to you and says, hey, Dad, can we go outside and throw some ball? Instead of saying, sorry, buddy, I don't have time right now. I gotta finish this up, or sorry, buddy, I don't have time right now. I'm still working. Say, sorry, buddy, that's not a priority for me right now, and see how that feels. Okay. Again, I recommend you don't say it out loud. That'd be very hurtful to your child, but say it to yourself and watch how it feels. It feels horrible. And if it feels horrible, it probably is horrible. Okay, so next time somebody says, hey, how come you're not getting to the gym, or how come you're not, taking care of your health? And you go, oh, that's not a priority for me. See how it feels? It feels really stupid and ugly. You don't care about yourself enough to take care of yourself? That's what you're saying. Saying I don't have time is a cop-out. We all have time. How much time do you spend scrolling social media? How much time do you spend, watching TV, binging Netflix? We all have time. It's just what you choose to do with it. So start thinking about what your priorities are, okay? And the reason I do the amount of business that I do in the time that I do it in is because I'm very clear on my priorities. I don't spend time doing things that don't align with my life's goals. And that's why I'm here today. And I'll spend 3 or 4 hours with you guys because my life's goals are to have one of my biggest goals is to have a positive impact on people and help people be successful in life. And that's why I'm here and why I coach a lot of you guys, because it's important to me. Financially, this doesn't make any sense for me financially to be here. But the only way I can be here for 3 hours is if I do 60 some transactions in 10 hours a week. Otherwise, I don't have time to do what I spend, to do what I'm most passionate about, which is being here with you guys and helping you guys build business. There's nothing more I love to see than a guy like William starting out brand new, and in 3 years from now he comes back to this class and he's like, dude, I made $250,000 last year or more. I hope Heidi feels that way about me, because Heidi had a massive impact on my life. She believed in me and she encouraged me, and she had meetings with me every single week. Even though she didn't need to do that, and even though I didn't really need to go, I liked it because I liked that accountability that I had to have Heidi every week being like, how's your business going? What are things looking like? And it felt good to come in and be like, I got something, Heidi, I got something under contract, right? And so she had a positive impact on my life. So I hope that I can have that same type of impact on you guys, right? So start thinking about what it is that is really important for you in life, and stop wasting time doing everything else. Because your income goal is generally related to your big why in life. It gets you to do something. It allows you to give your children the life that you never got to live. It allows you to take care of your parents. It allows you to do something that's bigger than yourself and greater than yourself. And it's the income that allows you to do that. So every time you go to work and don't do the things you need to do to make the income you need to make, you're basically saying that those things don't matter to you anymore. Okay, so right now I want you to think about what those goals are, put them down on here, and come up with your excuses for failure. And again, if that excuse for failure is I don't have time, I want you to write out on there, it's not a priority for me. And then if that is true, just cross it off your list. It doesn't need to be a goal anymore, because it's no longer, if it's not a priority, it shouldn't be a goal. Take a few minutes to do that. And then we're about wrapped up. All right, as you round out some of those goals, and you might finish up some of those later, the next piece on page 20, all the way through basically the end. Yeah, all the way till essentially page 29. These are sprints. Sprints are essentially action items that come from a backlog. Okay, with Workman, our backlogs are called agiles, and an agile is just essentially a big to-do list of all the things that we need to get done. And we're not talking like to-do list for the day, like, oh, I got to send that email. I'm talking about projects. So it could be like create an operations manual for my team, or hire an assistant, or hire a new buyer's agent. Okay, those are what we call go on an agile, or it's again a project backlog. And then we rank those things in order of importance. Okay, how important is that, and when does it need to get done? Once we have that project backlog, then we take each project and we create a sprint for it. The sprint is what we need to do in order to complete that. Okay, so your sprint are your action items, your individual action items. So for example, let's say on your agile backlog was you're going to create a I don't know, let's say a Easter event. You're going to do an adult egg hunt for an Easter client event. Okay, your sprint would have things like find a location, okay? And then you're going to have a due date on that. And maybe your due date is February 1st, okay? And then you're going to assign it. If you've got a team of people, it might be that that goes to an admin. You're not going to do that anymore because you're trying to rainmake and be in production, okay? Your second action item might be find food. You're going to have food for the event. So plan food and book a caterer, okay? That's going to be your next action item. Maybe your next one is to order swag for the event. Maybe your next one's to order eggs to fill for the event. All the things that you have to do for that event go on your sprint, you create a due date to it, and you assign it to somebody on your team, okay? So all that we're doing is, and for those of you that like technology, this is Asana, okay? Use Asana, use monday.com, something like that, okay? Get it off of paper, get it somewhere where you can create automated workflows, okay? So those of you that really like the technology side of things, all right? Okay, as we wrap up, on the last page is the cash flow budget worksheet. That in itself, I think, is a whole other class, so I don't get into that today. It is important to budget, but from a financial, if I start talking about finances, we will never get out of here. So we are not going to talk about that. And if somebody really wants to do it, maybe I'll put on a finance class at some point. But it's important to track that stuff, have a budget for your business. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this will wrap us up, is one of the things I've been thinking about as I set my goals moving into 2025. I've been trying to think a little bit outside the box, and I'm thinking a little bit differently about the way that I goal set. And I'd like to encourage some of you guys to do that, especially those of you that are team leaders, especially those of you that at any point in 2024 experience some burnout. It's hard to think about it. You know, I think back to myself as William, that brand new agent starting out, and you're excited and you're motivated and you're driven and the flame burns bright, and now just, you know, a few years into the business, you experience a little bit of burnout, and it comes on a you know, every once in a while it happens, or, you know, you just have a bad transaction and you think, God, why am I doing this? Right? And so I started thinking about my goals a little bit differently this year. And as you produce, if you think about yourself as one of those agents that you're happy with your level of production, but you're not happy with your life, or you're not happy with your 5 Fs, or you're not happy with the amount you're working, I want you to start thinking about your goals in a different way. Instead of thinking about the things that you're going to do or thinking about the things that you're going to achieve, I would like to encourage you to start thinking about the things that you're not going to do in 2025. And a lot of times we don't think about it that way, but I want you to set a goal for yourself of something that you're not going to do. And this can work on the lower level too. William, this could work for you. Think about what you're not going to do. You're not going to go through the year without having a single day where you talk to somebody different. Okay? For people that are experiencing maybe that level of burnout, I want you to make a goal. I'm not going to show any homes this year. Sounds like a really big goal, but I promise you it can be accomplished. I'm not going to do my own paperwork this year. Means you need to hire a transaction broker, a transaction coordinator in the next 26 days. I'm not going to do my own social media posts in 2025. Go find a VA that's going to do your social media posts. So I want you to think about your goals just a little bit differently. What are the things that you're not going to do in 2025 that are going to help you achieve the life that you want for yourself? Cool. All right. I think that's it for me today. I'm surprised I still have a voice. I'm going to go to the very end of this slideshow. I have some sales stuff in this slideshow too. But if you're not already a Workman client, yeah, I don't go through any of the lead flow stuff either. If you're not already a Workman client, I give away a bunch of free resources to you. So I'm trying to get there. We have a lot of stuff here. But I have a QR code that you guys can use to download a bunch of free stuff. Here you go. Sorry. There we go. So that QR code, you can download Daily Success Habits. You can download the Agile 30, 60, 90 plan. And I think I have more. I'm going to give you about a minute on this page, and then I think I have one more. If you're already a Workman client, you have access to all this stuff. It is in your resource center in Workbench. So all you have to do is look there. Hang on. There we go. This is the good one. This one gives you 3 different shift modules. It gives you the 8651, which is how to work your top 50. It's an ebook by Virl Workman. Your daily success habits tracker, and a My Perfect Week scheduler. So if you hit that QR code, you can download all of these for free. All right, that's that. There's me again. If you would, give me a follow on social media. I'm trying when people are like, oh, are you on social media? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, you got 21 followers. I'm like, yeah, I know, because I don't promote it. And I just restarted my pages, and I have all kinds of excuses as to why I don't have a bunch of social media followers. So help me out. Comment on my stuff. Check out my videos. Help hold me accountable for those 365 days that I committed to. So it's been a pleasure being here with all you guys today. I appreciate the fantastic turnout. I will send out a follow-up with the video. I'll probably drop it either in Dropbox or I'll put it on YouTube, something like that. And you guys will all have access to it if you want to go back and redo something. I hope you have a fantastic 2025. Good luck with all of your goals. I'll hang out here for a couple of minutes if anybody's got follow-up questions. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Happy holidays. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Nick.
My pleasure. Good luck, William. Kick butt.
Thanks, Nick.
My pleasure, Mary. Thanks for being on. Appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
Your Instagram is Nick.Pains, right? I think I just followed.
Instagram is Nick.Pains. I have a Nick Pains. I need to delete it because I don't use it. But Nick.Pains. Yeah, I have 2 Nick Pains and 2 Nick.Pains. It's super annoying.
Nice. Oh, I see.
So YouTube is Nick Pains, Facebook is Nick Pains, and then Instagram and TikTok are both Nick.Pains.
Gotcha here.
So Instagram's probably my lowest. I don't get a ton of stuff on Instagram. I get more on YouTube and TikTok for sure, but I post on everything. So
Perfect.
well, good luck to you, my friend Tracy. I'm sorry, Nicole's I get to talk to Nicole a few times. She's working with one of my referrals right now, I think. So you got a great team lead. She's awesome.
You talk about Nicole Van Treese, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Yep. So wish you lots of luck, and you don't need it. If you work hard, you won't need luck.
Yeah. After I met with her after an interview, I wasn't 100% on like going down the real estate license route, and then like when I met with her, like she closed me essentially.
I love it, man. Well, you be a rock star. Just keep working hard. You got a good background behind you, and all those things will help you in this business for sure.
Well, that's nice.
All righty. Take care.